Chapter 572. 572 Killing the Thunder Palace Master. How is that possible? Oh! Thunder Palace Master cried out in disbelief. He racked his brains but could not understand how Lu Ming had suddenly become so strong. Could it be some kind of secret technique? Thunder Palace Master's mind was spinning. Below, the Palace Master of Fire was also dumbfounded. Nest, I almost forgot. Lu Ming's cultivation technique is not to be underestimated. He used this inscription to increase his power by more than 2 times. Dandan muttered. Kill. Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps. With one step, he appeared in the sky above the Thunder Palace Master. He looked down and smashed his spear at the Thunder Palace Master. Boom! Under Lu Ming's violent essential core, the spear ray was as heavy as a mountain as it smashed towards the Thunder Palace Master. The Thunder Palace Master let out a long roar and formed a thunder giant. He held a thunder sword and slashed upwards like a god descending to the mortal world. Boom! Lu Ming's spear radiance was unstoppable. It exploded and the lightning giant collapsed. The violent power struck the Thunder Palace Master. Thunder Palace Master fell to the ground like a meteorite, creating a huge pit that was hundreds of meters wide and dozens of meters deep. The next moment, Thunder Palace Master rushed out of the huge pit. At this moment, the Thunder Palace Master's hair was disheveled, his clothes were in tatters, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked extremely pathetic. Ha ha ha, old geezerjung, to think that you'd have such a day. Ha ha ha, after Yin Kuangtu from 100 years ago, the Eastern Tianqian region has given birth to another unparalleled genius. The Fire Palace Master laughed heartily. Then the life force in his body slowly dissipated and disappeared. The Palace Master of Fire left while laughing. Damn it! Thunder Palace Master roared angrily, then turned around and ran. He knew that he could no longer kill Lu Ming. He could only escape. Want to run? Kill! Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps and chased after him. His long spear trembled and beams of spear radiance burst out. Thunder Palace Master was helpless and could only turn around to block with all his might. Watch me! Dandan stomped her feet and jumped off Lu Ming's shoulders. She grinned and shouted. Then, her 4 heads retracted into the turtle shell. The turtle shell spun continuously in the air and smashed toward the Master of Thunder Palace's face. The Master of Thunder Palace struck out countless bolts of lightning, but they were completely useless against the turtle shell. The turtle shell passed through the layers of lightning and smashed towards the Master of Thunder Palace's face. The Thunder Palace Master was already experienced. He quickly used one hand to defend and wanted to slap Dandan away. However, Dandan spun in the air and quickly dodged the palm of the Thunder Palace Master. Bang! A turtle shell was imprinted on Thunder Palace Master's face. The Master of Thunder Palace screamed and retreated. A clear tortoise shell mark appeared on his face and blood was flowing. Gakudo Path Attack. Lu Ming seized the opportunity to cast a Gakudo Path Attack and pierced the Thunder Palace Master's heart with his spear. Thunder Palace Master roared, his eyes filled with unwillingness. Let's go! With a shake of the long spear, a violent energy burst forth, destroying Thunder Palace Master's heart and internal organs. I'm not willing! Thunder Palace Master roared and died. You brought this upon yourself, you can't live. Humph! Lu Ming snorted coldly. His 9-dragon bloodline emerged and devoured the blood essence of the Lightning Palace Master. Then he took off the Lightning Palace Master's storage ring. Lu Ming stepped forward and came before the Palace Master of Fire. Then, he dug a hole and buried the body of the Palace Master of Fire. Profound yellow soil. Lu Ming's gaze shifted to the mound. Ha ha ha, what do you think? I wasn't wrong, right? There's dark yellow obsidian soil here, which is a great fortune for you. However, the 7 knotgrass will belong to me. Dandan's 2 front claws were placed on the turtle shell, triumphantly, but her pair of black eyes were staring at the 7 stalks of 7-section grass. No, I can't give you the 7-section grass. Lu Ming rejected her directly. What? Lu Ming, you ungrateful bastard. I was the one who guided you to find Xianhuang silicon soil. Do you know how precious Xianhuang silicon soil is? Ah, also it was me who helped you deal with the Thunder Palace Master just now. Don't you know how to repay me? I was seriously injured back then and needed spiritual herbs to recover. Why are you so stingy? Dandan was furious. She pointed one of her turtle claws at Lu Ming and spat out a bunch of words. I'll give you one. Lu Ming was speechless. No, two. Dandan shouted. All right, deal. Lu Ming immediately agreed. Dandan grinned, as if she had been tricked by Lu Ming. Immediately after, Lu Ming dug up the 7 tufts of common knotgrass by their roots and gave 2 to Dandan. Dandan picked it up as if she was eating a radish, and she ate it with a crunching sound, looking like she was enjoying it. Lu Ming was speechless. He could not believe that Dandan was a peerless expert. Lu Ming then took out a huge alchemy furnace. This alchemy furnace was found in the storage rings of the others. Lu Ming stored all the dark yellow soil into the alchemy furnace. 1,000 jin. There was a total of 1,000 jin of profound yellow soil here, enough to fill a pill furnace. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. If so much dark yellow soil were to be released to the outside world, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. Countless inscription masters would go crazy. Lu Ming carefully planted the path understanding ancient tree into the mystical yellow soil. After planting them, Lu Ming waved his hand and a large pile of spiritual herbs and flowers appeared in the air. These were all low-level spiritual herbs that he had obtained from others. Most of them were at level 1, 2, 3, and 4. To Lu Ming, they were not of much use. Lu Ming pressed his palm down, and a majestic vital essence burst out. The spiritual herbs were instantly destroyed and shattered into pieces. Then Lu Ming's vital essence transformed into 2 giant hands, grabbing the spiritual herb powder and squeezing it. Drops of spiritual liquid appeared and dripped on the Xianhuang silicoid soil. The profound yellow soil could turn such a spiritual liquid into one's own energy and nourish the spiritual herbs and herbs planted on it. After squeezing out a few thousand spiritual herbs of various levels, Lu Ming finally stopped and kept the dark yellow earth into the supreme shrine. Dandan, do you know where we are? Lu Ming looked at Dandan. At this time, Dandan had already finished off the 2 stalks of common knotgrass and was lying in the air, her 2 front paws covering her head, her legs crossed, with a leisurely expression. I don't know. Although the aura of this world is very familiar to me, I was too seriously injured back then and forgot. Dandan said leisurely. Lu Ming pursed his lips. He knew that this would be the result. This guy was too boastful and his words were not reliable. Lu Ming moved his body and flew in the direction he had come from at top speed. He continued to look for a way out. Wait for me. Dandan ran like crazy at an extremely fast speed. 1 man and 1 turtle disappeared into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Chapter 573. 573 An island. This piece of land was extremely vast. Lu Ming flew for 3 days in a row, covering a distance of several million miles. Along the way, Lu Ming did not find any esoteric crystal vein that could be excavated. Although this piece of land was extremely rich in ultimacy crystals, there was a limit to it. Some areas had more while some areas had less. Along the way, Lu Ming noticed that there were many traces of digging. It was obvious that they had been dug away. In the process of flying, Lu Ming transformed the blood essence of the Thunder Palace Master into the power of the Blood Meridian. Although the blood essence of a Level 9 Martial King was extremely powerful, it still couldn't make the 9-dragon bloodline break through to the 8th level of the King realm. The amount of blood essence required for the advancement of his blood meridian was getting more and more terrifying. Therefore, the blood essence that Lu Ming devoured was not used to improve his cultivation but to improve his blood meridian. What? At this moment Lu Ming felt a salty and wet wind blowing. He was stunned and sped up. Boom! 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 In front of them, a series of rumbling sounds could be heard, as if huge waves were sweeping across the sky. At the same time, the salty and wet wind became stronger. As Lu Ming flew, the rumbling sounds became more intense and deafening. Not long after. Could this be the ocean? Lu Ming stood on a cliff and looked into the distance. He was dumbfounded. In front of him was an endless ocean with huge waves that were extremely violent. The lowest waves could reach a height of hundreds of meters, and the higher waves could even reach more than 1,000 meters. In the sky, dark clouds gathered, thunder rumbled, and the wind howled. It was a scene of doomsday. Is this really the ocean? Lu Ming had never seen the sea since he was young. He had heard of it, but he had never heard of it being so violent. Even martial arts powerhouses would not be able to stand in this ocean, let alone ordinary people. Lu Ming looked around for a while. Occasionally, he could see the figures of huge sea beasts in the sea. Lu Ming frowned. He looked around for a while and then flew at high speed along the coastline. However, the ocean they saw along the way was the same. They were all violent. Lu Ming flew for 3 days and the results were the same. This coastline is round. Could it be an island? Lu Ming speculated. Lu Ming, based on my experience, this should be an island. You're all tied to the same island. Dandan said. An island? Then if we rush out of the island, we might be able to see the others. Maybe we can find our way back. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he flew toward the sea. Boom! The raging waves slapped the shore and the strong wind swept across. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He realized that the strong winds on the sea were extremely terrifying. They were like divine weapons that kept slashing at Lu Ming. Lu Ming had used his vital essence to protect himself, but his vital essence was being depleted. At this rate, Lu Ming's essential core would be depleted before he could fly far. Lu Ming had no choice but to fly back to the shore. I don't believe that the ocean around us is this violent. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and continued flying along the coastline. 10 days. Lu Ming had flown for a full 10 days. He estimated that he had circled half the island, but the ocean he saw was the same. It was extremely violent. This made Lu Ming rather speechless. Lu Ming was a little anxious. There were still 2.5 months before Mulan's wedding, but he had yet to find the way out. Lu Ming, all you can do now is cultivate in peace. Perhaps one day an outsider will come to this island, and you'll be able to leave. Dandan said. I can only do this. Lu Ming sighed. No matter what, it was best to hint at his strength. Moreover, with his current cultivation, even if he could go out, he wouldn't be a match for the sacred constellation. Only by increasing his strength and going out by chance would he be able to fight the sacred constellation. After that, Lu Ming stopped at the seaside and entered the supreme shrine to comprehend the thunder concept in peace. Lu Ming's thunder will had already reached the limit of level 1 lower tier. After another 5 days, Lu Ming's thunder will had a breakthrough and reached level 1 upper tier. This was a threshold. The intent realm of level 1 upper tier was the symbol of a king tier who had reached the upper tier. First level complete thunder intent. Now I'll use intent crystals to upgrade the other 2 intents. Lu Ming first took out a middle grade wind type esoteric crystal. Now that Lu Ming was rich and generous, he planned to break through with middle grade profound meaning crystals. He crushed the middle grade wind type ultimacy crystal and closed his eyes to cultivate. 2 days later, Lu Ming opened his eyes. Strong winds were howling around him, forming wind blades. Level 1 wind concept was complete. Moreover, it was at the middle stage of the first level upper tier. The effects of middle grade intent crystals were simply too powerful. Normally speaking, middle rank intent crystals were used by Sea of Soul realm experts to cultivate and comprehend level 2 intent domains of heaven and earth. Naturally, it would have a great effect on level 1 intent domains of heaven and earth. This was also the reason why Lu Ming had the path understanding ancient tree. If an ordinary person used a middle grade profound meaning crystal at the martial king realm, they would probably waste 70 to 80% of the middle grade profound meaning crystal. No one would be so wasteful. However, Lu Ming had the path understanding ancient tree, so he had only wasted 10 to 20% of it. Now it's the fire concept. Lu Ming took out a middle grade fire type ultimacy crystal, crushed it, and began to comprehend it. 2 days later, his fire concept had also broken through to the middle stage of level 1 upper tier. The completion of 3 types of concepts had caused the power of Lu Ming's 3 types of concepts to reach a terrifying level. It had completely surpassed the peak of a single concept. Moreover, Lu Ming could now aim for the level of a king tier. A late-stage king tier. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. With a wave of his hand, a pile of top-grade spiritual crystals appeared. There were a total of 200,000 pieces. With a shake of vital essence, all the supreme-grade spirit crystals exploded. The nine-dragon bloodline opened its mouth and absorbed all the energy of these spirit crystals. Very soon, 200,000 pieces of top-grade spirit crystals were refined and Lu Ming took out another 200,000 pieces. The vital essence in Lu Ming's body was getting more and more vigorous and powerful. It was about to break through to the 7th level of the Martial King realm. Boom! 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 The true essence in his body exploded like the ocean outside. Not enough, it's still not enough. When Lu Ming had refined 1,000,000 pieces of top-grade spirit crystals, he realized that he was still lacking a lot. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and exploded 600,000 pieces of top-grade spirit crystals in one go. He devoured all of them and began to break through. 3 days passed by in a flash. 3 days later, Lu Ming suddenly let out a long howl. A terrifying aura burst out from his body and soared into the sky. If they were not in the Supreme Shrine, they would probably be able to stir up the wind and clouds in the sky. I've finally broken through to the 7th level of the Martial King realm. Lu Ming laughed heartily. Now, he was finally standing on the same level as the Holy Star realm. Of course, he had already reached the peak of Level 9 Martial King a few months ago on the Holy Star. He was only one step away from the peak of King tier and could break through at any time. Lu Ming was still under a lot of pressure. But at least it was approaching quickly. With a single thought, Lu Ming left the Supreme Shrine and appeared at the seaside. Boom! Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air and a long spear was condensed. He then whipped the spear at the vast sea. Chapter 574. 574 The Others. The spear radiance turned into a 3,000-meter-long giant spear. It broke through the strong wind above the ocean and struck the surface of the ocean. Oh! In an instant, the 1,000-meter-high wave was crushed. A huge spear mark appeared in the ocean, and the seawater collapsed and split in two. It was as if the entire sea had been split in half by Lu Ming's spear. Boom! After a few breaths, a deafening roar came from the ocean. The giant wolf rolled over and covered the traces of the spear being pulled out. My combat strength is at least 5 times stronger than when I was at the peak of Level 6 Martial King realm. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Now, if he were to fight with the Palace Master of Thunder Palace, he was confident that he could kill the Palace Master of Thunder Palace with one shot without the help of the inscription. Now, I'll cultivate the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and the Dragon God 3 absolutes in this ocean. With the 3 types of intent realms at full completion, he could cultivate the Dragon God's 3 absolutes to the 5th level. When one's 3rd level will reach its peak, one would be able to cultivate the Dragon God's 3 absolutes to the 6th level, the peak. Thereafter, Lu Ming focused on cultivating 2 types of martial arts techniques. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. During this time, Dandan looked at the sea every day in a daze, as if she was thinking about something. What? On this day, Lu Ming was cultivating when he suddenly heard the sounds of fighting from afar. And the sounds of fighting were getting closer to the sea. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming's figure moved and flew in that direction. Dandan hurriedly followed. In front of them, there were 5 figures flying towards the sea. They were covered in blood and their faces were filled with fear. Among these 5 people, 3 of them were experts from the Xian family of the ancient Baron City. They were all at the level of lower-tier king tiers. The other 2 people were the 2 protectors of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. One of them had an extremely powerful aura. He was actually a level 7 upper-tier king. The guardians of the Empyrean Divine Palace were usually at the lower tier of the peak Level 6 Martial King realm. It was obvious that this guardian had made a breakthrough in his cultivation during this period of time. However, his face was still filled with panic. Haha, you can't escape. Die. Behind them, there were dozens of corpse guards chasing and laughing. They were not in a hurry like cats playing with mice. One of the corpse guards had reached the peak of Level 8 Martial King realm. After running for a while, they were almost at the seaside. The ocean is ahead. The two protectors from the Xian family and the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace were filled with despair. Ha ha ha. Let's see where you can run to now. A corpse guard laughed. Don't run anymore. All of you will die today. Obediently turn into our refined corpses. Didn't that palace master of your Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace already become our refined corpses? The corpse guard at the peak lever 8 Martial King realm sneered. Today you're the ones who will die. Suddenly, a cold voice came from the direction of the sea. Everyone was stunned. They looked in the direction of the sea and saw a flash of light. The next moment, a young man in his 20s appeared. His eyes were as cold as a sharp sword. It was Lu Ming. Lu Ming, is that you? Run, you're not their match. A green-robed guardian shouted when he saw Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming stepped forward and faced the corpse guard of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Haha. Another brat who's here to die. A corpse guard at the peak of the 6th level Martial King realm sneered and controlled the two refined corpses to attack Lu Ming. Die! Lu Ming flicked his finger and 3 rays of spear radiance shot out, piercing the glabella of the corpse guard at the peak of lever 6 Martial King realm and 2 refined corpses. That corpse guard's eyes opened wide, with a look of disbelief. He did not expect Lu Ming's spear to be so fast. He could not stop it at all. Brat, you're looking for death. The corpse guard at the peak lever 8 Martial King realm roared, his killing intent surging like the tide. The other corpse guards also surrounded Lu Ming. What do we do? The people of the Xian family and the 2 guardians stopped in the distance with complicated expressions. There are 2 upper-tier kings and 5 upper-tier refined corpses. Lu Ming is definitely no match for them. We're just going to die if we go. A protector said. That's right, let's take this opportunity to leave. A middle-aged man from the Xian family said. As for the others, their eyes flashed with hesitation. Let's go. We won't be able to escape once Lu Ming is dead. The middle-aged man from the Xian family urged. Good. Let's go. The others gritted their teeth. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. A huge flood dragon emerged from Lu Ming's body. It opened its mouth and sucked. Drops of blood essence flew out of the corpse guards' bodies and fell to the ground like rain. Only the 2 late-stage king-level corpse guards didn't die, but their faces were also pale. The Xian family and the 2 guardians were in disbelief. Damn it, you dare to kill my heavenly corpse sex people, you're courting death. The corpse guard at the peak lever 8 Martial King realm roared and controlled the 3 refined corpses to charge at Lu Ming. That is, the palace master of earth. Lu Ming noticed that one of the refined corpses looked extremely familiar. It was clearly the palace master of earth. Ha ha ha, this is one of the palace masters of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. He was killed by our experts and I'll reward him by refining him into a refined corpse. Isn't he very strong? The corpse guard at lever 8 Martial King realm sneered. Die! Lu Ming swept his long spear and the 2 lever 8 Martial King refined corpses were sent flying like cannonballs for thousands of meters before they crashed to the ground. He took a step forward and the power of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps exploded. The other lever 7 Martial King realm martial artist and his 2 lever 7 refined corpses exploded. How could it be? The corpse guard at the peak lever 8 Martial King realm shrieked in fear. Not far away, the 3 people and 2 guardians of the Xian family who were preparing to escape were dumbfounded as they watched the scene. Lu Ming had killed the corpse guards that had caused them to flee for their lives without any effort. He was unimaginably powerful. Gulu! The middle-aged man from the Xian family swallowed his saliva and broke out in a cold sweat. Don't come over! The corpse guard shrieked and controlled the refined corpse refined by the palace master of earth to stand in front of Lu Ming. At the same time he ran for his life. Humph! Lu Ming took a step forward and his figure flashed past the palace master of earth. He appeared behind the corpse guard and thrust his long spear, piercing through the back of the corpse guard's waist and exiting from its dantian. True essence exploded, and the corpse guard's dantian exploded, its cultivation completely destroyed. With his cultivation destroyed, the body of the palace master of earth stopped in the air, not moving at all. Don't kill me. The corpse guard screamed and begged for mercy. Speak, where are the rest of you? Lu Ming asked. It's on a plane 100,000 miles ahead. I beg you, let me go. The corpse guard begged for mercy. Buzz. The long spear shook, and the corpse guard was torn into pieces. With a wave of his hand, dozens of storage rings flew into Lu Ming's hands and disappeared. Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to have grown to this extent after not seeing you for a while. At this moment, the 3 people from the Xian family and the 2 guardians flew over. One of the guardians said with a smile. That's right. I've lived for a few hundred years. Young hero Lu Ming is the strongest genius I've ever seen. The middle-aged man from the Xian family also smiled in a flattering manner. Chapter 575. 575 to kill you. Lu Ming nodded indifferently. He did not say much and flew to the corpse of the Hall Master of Earth. Oh. Although they were a distance away, Lu Ming still heard the discussion between the 3 people from the Xian family and the 2 guardians. These 5 people's characters were really not good. Lu Ming did not want to say more. The 5 of them exchanged glances and followed behind Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his palm and a surge of vital essence covered the body of the Palace Master of Earth, eliminating all the aura and inscription marks left by the corpse refinement sect. The Palace Master of Earth was now an ordinary corpse. Then Lu Ming dug a hole nearby and buried the Hall Master of Earth. Lu Ming, what are your plans from now on? Why don't you join us? He asked. One of the guardians said as he looked at Lu Ming with a hopeful look. Lu Ming's combat strength was too strong. If Lu Ming could be with them, they would be much safer. Okay, I'm going to the corpse guard gathering point to hunt corpse guards. Are you guys coming? There was a faint smile on Lu Ming's lips as he looked at the 3 people from the Xian family and the 2 guardians. Go to the gathering point of the corpse guards to kill them? Are you crazy? There are more than 300 corpse guards there, and 3 of them are level 9 Martial King Realm corpse guards. They're controlling the Flood Dragon's corpse. You're just going to die if you go there. The middle-aged man from the Xian family shouted. Oh, so you're not going? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Lu Ming, it's really too dangerous there. You'd better go somewhere else with us and see if you can find a way out. A protector said. If that's the case, then please leave. Lu Ming waved his hand. He didn't have a good impression of these people. Lu Ming, don't think that you can look down on others just because you have some abilities. I won't go to death with you. After the middle-aged man from the Xian family finished speaking, he turned around and left. The other 4 people's expressions changed and they followed the middle-aged man from the Xian family. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not care. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the Earth Temple Master's mound, then turned around and headed inland. 100,000 miles away there was a plain. On it were huge coffins and corpse chi filled the air. This was the gathering point of the Heavenly Corpse Sect's corpse guards. Who's there? As soon as Lu Ming arrived, he was discovered. A corpse guard controlled 2 refined corpses to appear. The person who will kill you. An ice-cold voice sounded, and with a flick of his finger, a spear ray shot out, nailing the corpse guard to death. There's a sneak attack. A loud roar was heard, and the entire plane was in an uproar. Buzz. An NBSP whoosh. Oh. The sound of the air being torn rang out as corpse guards and refined corpses flew out of the coffins one by one. In a short while, a few hundred corpse guards and even more refined corpses appeared in front of Lu Ming. A person? Why is he alone? You dare to ambush me alone? You're courting death. Attack and kill him. Some corpse guards shouted and controlled the refined corpses to pounce at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood still in the void. With a wave of his hand, more than 10 spear gleams shot out. His speed was so fast that no one below the late stages of the King Realm could react in time. The sound of over a dozen sharp blades piercing into bodies sounded out, and over a dozen corpse guards were killed. 2 of them were even level 6 Martial King Realm experts. So strong! The other corpse guards were greatly shocked and couldn't help but retreat. Get out of the way. This person is a late-stage king tier. You guys are not his match. A shriveled voice sounded out, and an old corpse guard appeared. Beside him, there were two middle-aged corpse guards. Roar! Roar! With two roars, two giant demonic corpses appeared in front of the old corpse guard. In addition, there were two strange refined corpses. They wore armor and held long spears. They were different from the other refined corpses. However, they all exuded an extremely powerful aura. They were all refined corpses of the Level 9 Martial King realm. Further back, there were two ordinary refined corpses wrapped in chains. They also exuded a powerful aura of Level 9 Martial King realm. There were 3 Level 9 Martial King realm corpse guards and 6 Level 9 Martial King realm refined corpses. This could be said to be the peak power among the corpse guards attacking the ancient barren city this time. Everyone's here. Good, it saves me the trouble of looking for them one by one. Lu Ming's eyes were cold. Little guy, what big words. From your aura, I can tell that you've just broken through to the late king tier not long ago, and you're already saying that you're going to kill us? You're really overestimating yourself. Kill. The old corpse guard sneered. Then a huge demonic corpse roared and pounced at Lu Ming. The demonic corpse's eyes were blood red, and its entire body was filled with a murderous aura. It pounced forward, bringing with it a strong gust of wind. The wind lightning spear appeared in his hand and swept out. A huge spear light appeared and surrounded the 3 heaven and earth essences. Bang! The huge demonic corpse looked like a doll as it was swept away by Lu Ming's spear. The surrounding corpse guards couldn't dodge in time, and were sent flying by the demonic corpse's huge body. Some of the corpse guards directly exploded. So strong! All the corpse guards on the scene, including the 3 Level 9 Martial King corpse guards, widened their eyes and looked dumbfounded. A Level 9 Martial King realm demonic corpse was stronger than an ordinary refined corpse. It was impervious to swords and spears and had immense strength. However, it was easily swept away by Lu Ming's spear. It was too terrifying. Let's attack together and kill this man. The old corpse guard roared. Roar! With a roar, the 3 Level 9 Martial King realm corpse guards joined forces. The remaining 5 Level 9 Martial King realm refined corpses pounced toward Lu Ming with shocking power. At the same time, some other corpse guards controlled the refined corpses to attack Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming let out a long roar, and his true essence rumbled. His aura soared to the sky, and the 9 dragon bloodline appeared. He opened his mouth and sucked, and instantly, more than 50 corpse guards nearby had their blood essence devoured and fell to the ground. At the same time, he brandished his spear like an invincible general. Bang! 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 The 5 Level 9 Martial King refined corpses were swept away by him. Now Lu Ming's combat strength had completely surpassed Level 9 Martial King realm, and was approaching the peak of King realm. Not good. He's controlling the Flood Dragon's corpse. The old corpse guard shrieked and quickly retreated with the other 2 Level 9 Martial King corpse guards. They formed a seal with their hands and corpse chi filled the air. Roar! A dragon's roar was heard, and the corpse of a huge flood dragon rushed out from the depths of the plain. The 3 Level 9 Martial King realm corpse guards flew up to the head of the flood dragon's corpse and controlled it to attack Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming's 9 dragon bloodline burst out with a terrifying devouring power, killing another 50 corpse guards. Of course, Lu Ming did not let go of any storage rings. You're looking for death. The old corpse guard roared angrily. The flood dragon corpse clawed at Lu Ming. The space seemed to be unable to withstand the pressure, and started to shake violently. The air was compressed and exploded wherever the claw touched. Let's see how strong he is. True Dragon Strike. Lu Ming exerted all his strength and thrust his spear. A 3-colored true dragon clashed with the flood dragon's corpse. With a shocking explosion, the force rolled in all directions. Some of the corpse guards nearby were directly torn apart by the force and died on the spot. The earth trembled and huge cracks appeared on the ground, spreading across the plain like a spider web. The old corpse guard's expression was very unsightly as he madly controlled the flood dragon's corpse to escape. Boom! 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 Deafening rumbles of waves came from ahead. Ocean. The old corpse guard's expression changed drastically. He was similar to the other corpse guards. Charge, charge into the ocean. The old corpse guard roared in anger. They had the flood dragon's corpse and planned to charge into the sea to gamble. As long as they hid in the flood dragon's corpse, they might be able to survive in the sea. They charged towards the sea at top speed, but stopped when they reached the shore. The ship. They saw the ship. In the depths of the ocean they saw 3 huge ships sailing toward them. Even Lu Ming stopped in his tracks, his eyes filled with shock. Did having a boat mean that they could leave this damn place? Lu Ming stopped his pursuit of the corpse guard. The 3 ships were heading in their direction at high speed. They were getting closer and closer. Lu Ming and the rest were more and more shocked. Those were no ordinary ships. They were clearly 3 warships, each of which was huge and all-shaped. The deck alone was more than 1,000 meters above the water. It was black in color and seemed to be made of a strange metal. There were some strange creatures carved on it that Lu Ming had never seen before. The terrifying waves and strong winds had no effect on the 3 warships. 3 battleships were riding the wind and waves. Haha, we're saved. We can go out. Some corpse guards laughed wildly and rushed towards the seaside in ecstasy, getting closer and closer to the sea. Wrong, wrong. On Lu Ming's shoulder, Dandan's eyes were filled with suspicion as she mumbled to herself. What's wrong? If someone is here, it means we can leave this island. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. No. I'm familiar with the auras of these 3 battleships. They're the auras of my enemies. Dandan muttered, as if she was trying hard to recall something. But he couldn't think of anything at the moment. Lu Ming, trust me. It's dangerous to retreat. Dandan said in a rare serious tone. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he muttered to himself. In the end, he retreated a few dozen miles and appeared on a cliff, looking into the distance. At this moment the battleship was getting closer and closer. As it got closer, the terrifying pressure emitted by the battleship could be felt even more. The flood dragon's corpse was huge enough, but in front of this huge warship, it was like a worm. Boom! 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 The waves were broken apart, and the 3 warships stopped dozens of miles away from the sea. Many corpse guards looked on with eager eyes. Buzz! An NBSP whoosh! Oh! At this time, many figures flew out of the warships and appeared in the sky above the ocean. Who's that? Lu Ming's eyes suddenly narrowed, revealing a look of shock. Because the figures that rushed out of the warship were not human at all. Although they were in the form of humans, each of them was more than 2 meters tall. Their bodies were covered in black scales. In terms of body size, they were similar to the scale demons in the scale demon dimension that Lu Ming had seen before. What was different was that these figures had 2 sharp horns on their heads that emitted a sharp light. In the middle of their brows there was a 3rd eye. The general is right. There is indeed an abnormality on Sky Horizon Island. Some reptiles have appeared. A burly 3-eyed creature spoke. His words were exactly the same as Lu Ming's. How did these crawlers appear? Could they have come from the primordial realm? It's very possible. Amazing, really amazing. The worms of the primordial realm actually came to the heaven realm. Haha, take them down and hand them to the general. You must ask them how they came here. Maybe you can find the entrance to the primordial realm. The other 3-eyed creatures chimed in. After saying that, dozens of 3-eyed creatures rushed to the shore. They waved their hands, and their claws suddenly enlarged and grabbed at the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect. So strong! Lu Ming's pupils contracted rapidly. Chapter 577. 577 The Heaven Realm. He discovered that every single one of those 3-eyed creatures was stronger than him. More than half of them were definitely peak-tier kings, and the other half were simply terrifying. Their auras were like the abyss, and they were many times stronger than peak-tier kings. Oh, spiritual ocean tier. Those were definitely all peerless experts at the spiritual ocean tier. The sudden appearance of so many spiritual ocean tier elites was simply terrifying. Not good, let's go. At this moment, the expressions of the corpse guards of the Heavenly Corpse sect changed drastically. They screamed repeatedly and frantically fled backward. But where could he escape? A huge hand covered in scales came down and grabbed the Flood Dragon's corpse without any resistance. The 2 Lever 9 Martial King corpse guards on it were like little bugs. They were grabbed and thrown into a bottle by the three-eyed creature. The bottle wasn't big, but the 200-meter-long Flood Dragon was thrown in. Stop. Let's talk this out. We are disciples of the Heavenly Corpse sect. A corpse guard shouted. What Heavenly Corpse sect? A bunch of pathetic primordial realm insects. The primordial realm will be conquered by my race sooner or later. A tall three-eyed creature laughed loudly. He grabbed with his hand, and a few corpse guards were caught and thrown into a bottle. Let's go. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He turned and ran. If they were caught by these living beings, they would definitely not have a good ending. Lu Ming's heart sank. Lu Ming had obtained some information from the conversation between the few three-eyed creatures. Heaven realm? The primordial realm. Could it be that this place belonged to the heaven realm? What was heaven? Wasn't it the world he came from? Then how could he go back? What were these three-eyed creatures? Lu Ming had many doubts in his heart, but he could only escape. If he was caught by the other party, he would definitely not have a good ending. It looks like there are many primordial realm reptiles on this deserted island. Let's split up and capture all of them, not leaving a single one alive. A three-eyed creature with a terrifying aura instructed. Yes. The other three-eyed creatures acknowledged the order. At this time, the dozens of corpse guards had already been captured, and the dozens of three-eyed creatures scattered and flew towards the island. Not only that, dozens of three-eyed creatures flew out of a warship and into the island. Boom! 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 A three-eyed creature was flying behind Lu Ming at an extreme speed. It was so fast that the space trembled. However, he did not notice Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not fly in the air. Instead, he concealed his aura and continued to fly close to the ground. I can see you. The three-eyed creature behind him let out a loud roar and struck out with its palm. A huge palm print blasted not far from Lu Ming's right. Go quickly, go. Instantly, a few horrified roars came from that place. 5 figures appeared and fled in a frenzy. Yes, it's them. The 5 figures were the 3 people from the Xian family, and the 2 guardians from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Obviously, the 5 of them had also seen Lu Ming. Lu Ming, help, help! The middle-aged man from the Xian family roared and moved closer to Lu Ming. Nest! Lu Ming roared in his heart. The other party wanted to drag him down in order to survive. Initially, the three-eyed creature did not notice Lu Ming. However, he was discovered. Damn it! Lu Ming roared in anger and soared into the sky. He used the 9 dragons' heaven-treading steps and his speed increased dramatically. But this way the risk of being exposed was also greatly increased. Lu Ming, you left me in the lurch. You'll die a horrible death. The middle-aged man from the Xian family shouted in despair when he saw Lu Ming leaving. You're so noisy. A huge hand grabbed the 5 of them and threw them into a bottle. Interesting reptile, you're quite fast. Let's see if you can escape from my palm. A cold glint flashed across the three-eyed creature's eyes as it chased after Lu Ming. Its speed was terrifyingly fast, not slower than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming, hurry up. The other party is catching up. Dandan urged. I know. Don't be noisy. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps to its maximum. He took 3 steps in a row and his speed was unbelievably fast. However, the three-eyed creature was still following closely behind. That three-eyed creature is extremely powerful. Judging from its aura, it's infinitely close to the spiritual ocean tier. I'm definitely not its match. Once I'm entangled by it, I'll be dead when the other three-eyed creatures come. Lu Ming's mind was racing. Dandan, aren't you the reincarnation of a peerless expert? Is there any way? Lu Ming could only focus his attention on Dandan. Of course there's a way. I'll now inscribe an inscription formation on your body to conceal your aura. This way your aura will be completely concealed, and the other party won't be able to sense you at all. Then you can find a place to hide, and I'll inscribe an inscription formation on you to isolate your aura." Dandan rolled her eyes and said, "Then hurry up," Lu Ming shouted. Immediately after, Dandan waved its claws and began to inscribe. Lu Ming continued to chase and escape. "Haha, Tombu, you can't even catch up to a worm like you. Do you want me to help you?" Right at this moment, a voice rang out from nearby, and another three-eyed creature appeared. "There's no need for you to interfere. I'm enough." The three-eyed creature that was chasing after Lu Ming shouted. "Oh, then I'll leave it to you." The other three-eyed creature laughed and flew off in another direction. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief and continued to flee. Not long after, they had flown a distance of several 100,000 li. "Dandan, why aren't you done yet?" Lu Ming asked. "Cough cough, I just failed. Hold on a little longer." Dandan coughed a few times in embarrassment. "Fuck." Lu Ming was extremely speechless. Along the way, Dandan had already failed 5 times. Lu Ming seriously doubted whether Dandan could do it. Was she fooling him? "Hey kid, what's with your expression? Are you doubting me? I'm one of the top 10 war beasts with unparalleled combat strength. Inscriptions, alchemy, refining, there's nothing I don't know, and you dare to doubt me? If I hadn't been injured back then, I could have killed these ants with a single breath." Dandan shouted. I believe you. Hurry up." Lu Ming was speechless. He could only grit his teeth and run. After a short while, "All right, haha, I've succeeded," Dandan shouted. Lu Ming's body was covered with lines of inscriptions, which were extremely beautiful. "Is it really useful?" Lu Ming expressed his doubts. "Nonsense, of course it's useful. You can't feel it yourself, but others definitely can't feel the slightest bit of your chi, not even the spiritual ocean tier, unless you've surpassed the spiritual ocean tier," Dandan said with confidence. "All right, I'll believe you." Lu Ming gritted his teeth and continued flying. Soon a lake appeared in front of him. Without thinking, Lu Ming plunged into the lake. The lake was very deep, reaching a depth of 1,000 meters. After Lu Ming rushed into the lake, he descended to the bottom of the lake at a rapid speed. A long spear condensed in his hand and spun rapidly, like a drill, drilling into the bottom of the lake. A hole was dug out of the bottom of the lake as if it was tofu. Lu Ming rushed in. Chapter 578. 578 Ocean of Intent Crystals. As soon as Lu Ming rushed into the cave, his essential core burst forth. The cave entrance behind him collapsed and was covered by the mud at the bottom of the lake. There was no way to see the entrance at all. Oh! Lu Ming had rushed to the bottom of the lake to block the three-eyed creature's vision with the lake water. Boom! Not long after Lu Ming went to the bottom of the lake, the three-eyed creature arrived. It rushed to the bottom of the lake, causing huge waves. However, when he rushed to the bottom of the lake, he did not find any trace of Lu Ming. He could not even sense a trace of his aura. Damn it! The three-eyed creature roared in anger. Its entire body emitted an energy that was completely different from true essence. It wreaked havoc at the bottom of the lake without any restraint. The water in the lake was stirred up, and countless members of the water race were killed. Their blood dyed the water red. Under the ground, Lu Ming activated his essential core and spun the long spear, drilling down continuously. Boom! 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 Deafening rumbles came from above. Lu Ming knew that the three-eyed creature had arrived. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He went down at full speed. He was very fast. Not long after, he had gone down a few 100 meters. He then changed his direction and went forward parallel to the ground. After digging for a few 100 miles, he dug a cave underground. Lu Ming planned to stay there temporarily. "Kid, my inscription formation is pretty good, right? Now I'll carve a formation around this cave. I guarantee that even if they search the entire island, they won't be able to find you." Dandan was extremely proud. Then he started to inscribe inscriptions around the cave. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief, frowning. This time it was a good thing that it wasn't a spiritual ocean tier three-eyed creature chasing after him. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't be able to escape. She had thought that she had seen hope of getting out, but now she was in despair. Also, how is Xianxiang? With her cultivation base, it was likely that she would be in grave danger if she landed on this deserted island. Grandmaster Xian, it seems like I have to let you down. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. After that, Lu Ming cast aside all other thoughts and circulated the True War Dragon technique to begin healing his injuries. Earlier, he had exchanged a few blows with the Flood Dragon's corpse and had suffered some minor injuries. About half an hour later, Lu Ming's injuries had fully recovered. Kid, the inscription formation has been carved, you can rest assured. Dandan appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder and said, Dandan, you said that you were familiar with these creatures. Think about it again. Do you have any clues? Lu Ming said. Now, he could only place his hopes on the unreliable little turtle. I was injured that year and had problems with my memory. I can't remember much, but I vaguely remember that they were my enemies. The place I lived should be in this realm, the Heaven Realm. Dandan frowned and pondered. Heaven Realm, what kind of place is Heaven Realm? Could it be a plane? Lu Ming said. Of course not. I vaguely remember that the Heaven Realm should be a main world, and the world you're in should be called the Primordial Realm, which is also a main world. The two worlds are twin worlds, and the two worlds complement each other. Heaven Realm? The Primordial Realm? Twin world? Lu Ming was confused. Could it be that the so-called Heaven's Gate in my world is the gate that leads to this world? Lu Ming made a guess. He finally knew why Dandan had spurted out from the Heaven's Gate. I don't remember much either. Don't ask me anymore. When I remember, I'll naturally tell you. For now, you should hide here and cultivate, Dandan said. Lu Ming nodded. This was the only way for now. After that, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine. With a wave of his hand, a large pile of storage rings appeared beside him. There were more than 200 of them. Lu Ming had not counted the storage rings that he had obtained during this period of time. Since he had time now, he decided to take a look. How many intent crystals could there be in so many storage rings? Lu Ming was filled with anticipation. He started to count them one by one. This inventory took more than a day to sort out. Lu Ming was completely dumbfounded. There were too many intent crystals. Lu Ming counted. There were a total of 18 types of esoteric crystals. The total number was 230,000 pieces. In addition to the 30,000 pieces he had previously, he had a total of 260,000 pieces. 260,000 intent crystals. What kind of concept was that? Lu Ming's heart trembled. Moreover, Lu Ming realized that some people had very few esoteric crystals in their storage rings, while others had a lot. An NBSP, this was normal. This island couldn't be filled with intent crystals everywhere. Some places had more while others didn't. The area that Lu Ming had passed by previously was most likely more populated. There were more than 260,000 pieces of esoteric crystals. Lu Ming estimated that more than half of the esoteric crystals on the entire island had fallen into his pocket. And NBSP. Among them there were 15,000 wind, fire, and lightning intent crystals each. He also had around 20 pieces of each of the 3 middle-grade intent crystals. With so many esoteric crystals, it would be enough for Lu Ming to use for a period of time. In addition, there were more than 10 million supreme spiritual crystals. During this period of time, many people's mentalities had improved, and they must have refined many supreme spiritual crystals. Otherwise, there would be more supreme spiritual crystals. As for the other things, there were even more piling up like a mountain. With so many intent crystals, I don't have to worry about wind and fire intent. It won't be a problem for me to cultivate it to the great circle of level 1, but thunder intent will be a problem. Lu Ming frowned and pondered. The thunder cauldron would devour the intent tendrils of the lightning type, profound meaning crystals every time. This was a huge headache for Lu Ming. Otherwise, with so many resources at his disposal, he could have become a peak-tier king in a short time. Now, Lu Ming could only focus on comprehending the thunder mentality. As long as he could comprehend the thunder mentality, his cultivation would improve rapidly. After that, His mind sank into his sea of consciousness, and Lu Ming began to fully comprehend the thunder concept. Time flew by like the wind. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. In the past month, one could often hear rumbles coming from the ground. The three-eyed creatures hadn't left. In a month's time, Lu Ming had been fully focused on comprehending the thunder concept, and his progress was terrifying. He had cultivated for a month, which was equivalent to an ordinary person cultivating for nearly 10 years. After such a long period of time, Lu Ming managed to comprehend the thunder concept to the peak of level 1 upper tier in one go. He was only one step away from the great circle of the first rank. However, this step was not so easy to break through. Lu Ming stopped when he reached this point in his comprehension of the thunder concept. He started to use the esoteric crystals to attack the wind and fire concepts. Lu Ming directly used middle-grade profound meaning crystals. And NBSP 7 days later, he had used 2 middle-grade intent crystals each, and his wind and fire intents had also reached the great circle of level 1. Now, I'll start to improve my cultivation. Lu Ming waved his hand and a large number of top-grade spiritual crystals appeared. He began to use the top-grade spiritual crystals to improve his cultivation. The amount of spiritual crystals required to reach level 7 Martial King Realm was even more terrifying. It would take 800,000 pieces to reach the next level. He had spent 2.4 million top-grade spiritual crystals to reach the peak of level 7 Martial King Realm, and another 2 million top-grade spiritual crystals to break through to level 8 Martial King Realm. Just like that, Lu Ming continued to improve. The speed of his improvement was enough to scare other martial artists to death. In half a month's time, Lu Ming had used up all the best spiritual crystals he had. His cultivation had finally advanced to the peak of the level 9 Martial King Realm. He was only one step away from peak tier King tier. This cultivation was no weaker than that of the Holy Star. Chapter 579. 579 The reappearance of the ancient desolate city. Following that, Lu Ming spent another 10 days to successfully cultivate the 5th stage of the Dragon God's 3 absolutes. Lu Ming's combat strength had reached its peak. At this moment, Lu Ming stopped cultivating. It was because he had been feeling more and more anxious recently, and he could not continue cultivating. There were only about 10 days left until the day of Mulan's wedding with the sacred constellation. Lu Ming could not calm down. No, I still have to find a way out. I can't just be trapped here. Lu Ming pondered and decided to go out and investigate. With his current battle prowess, as long as he didn't run into a Sea of Soul Realm expert, he would definitely have no problem escaping. Brat, you're finally going out. After all this time of thinking, I've finally thought of a possible way to get out. Dandan lay on Lu Ming's shoulder, crossed her legs and said leisurely. Think of a way to get out. What way? Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. When you guys came here, it should be because of the Desolation Ancient City. Then you can only rely on the Desolation Ancient City to get out. You just need to find the Desolation Ancient City and then I will study it. Perhaps I can find the way out. Dandan explained. Ancient Desolate City. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, but he then frowned. Although the ancient barren city has also entered this world, I wonder where it landed? It should be on this island. It's up to you to find it. Dandan said. All right. Now he could only rely on this method. A long spear condensed in Lu Ming's hands. The long spear spun, burrowed into the ground and shot upward. After a moment, Lu Ming emerged from the ground. Lu Ming restrained his aura and observed his surroundings. They gathered together, but there was no movement. Could it be that the three-eyed creature has already left? Lu Ming pondered and was about to soar into the sky. At this moment, Lu Ming's expression changed. He retracted his aura and hid himself. In the sky, a tall figure was flying toward the island at high speed. Wasn't that the three-eyed creature? The three-eyed creature still hadn't left. The three-eyed creature had not left. Lu Ming's search for the ancient Desolation City would be a little difficult. At this moment, a few more figures flew over from the distance. It was also a three-eyed creature. Quick! The leader has found an ancient city in the depths of the island. It's very likely to be related to the appearance of those reptiles here. Let's hurry over. Hurry up. A few voices could be heard from the sky. Lu Ming's expression changed. Ancient city? Oh no, could it be that the three-eyed creature has found the ancient desolate city? Lu Ming's expression was extremely ugly. If the ancient barren city was discovered by the three-eyed creature, he would be in trouble. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and used his movement technique. He stuck close to the ground and followed the three-eyed creature at top speed. They flew at an extremely fast speed. In one day they had covered a distance of 2 million miles. A huge forest appeared in front of them. It's that mountain forest. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that the forest in front of him was the same forest that he had appeared in when he first entered. Lu Ming became more careful and restrained his aura. This was because there were extremely powerful demonic beasts in this mountain forest. However, Lu Ming did not encounter any powerful demonic beasts along the way. The ones he encountered were all extremely weak. Who's that? Not long after, Lu Ming passed by a place and discovered that the place was in a mess. Ancient trees had collapsed, and there were huge potholes everywhere. He could even see huge palm prints on the ground. Chapter 580. 580 The Mysterious Expert. AI. Oh. At this moment, a sigh suddenly came from the ancient desolate city. This sigh was filled with desolation and helplessness. It seemed to have come from ancient times and was extremely lonely. I can't believe that after so many years, your Divine Eye clan is still in the Heaven Realm. Has the Heaven Realm really been defeated? A long sigh came from the ancient desolate city again. Who is it? You know quite a lot. Let me tell you, the Heaven Realm is already completely under the control of the Divine Eye clan. Only a few people are putting up a stubborn resistance. Very soon, the Divine Eye clan will be able to open up the entrance to the primordial realm. By then, both the Heaven and the Yuan world will be under the control of the Divine Eye clan. The leader of the three-eyed creature said. In the ancient desolate city, the voice fell silent and did not speak for a long time. Pretending to be mysterious, charge in. The three-eyed creature's leader roared. Immediately, dozens of three-eyed creatures charged into the ancient desolate city. Buzz! At this moment a sword cry was heard. A beam of sword chi flashed out of the desolate ancient tomb. Dozens of three-eyed creatures were cut in half, including two powerful spiritual ocean tier beings. This time the three-eyed creature's expression changed drastically again. Pada! Pada! From within the desolate ancient tomb came the sound of deep footsteps. The sound was not loud, but it strangely spread far and wide. Then 3 figures walked out of the desolate ancient tomb. Now Lu Ming's eyesight was extremely good. He could see clearly even from hundreds of miles away. At that moment Lu Ming's eyes suddenly narrowed. Xianxiang, Xianfeng. Among the 3 people who walked out, Lu Ming actually saw Xianxiang and Xianfeng. Xianxiang and Xianfeng had been in the desolate ancient tomb all this time. What was going on? In front of Xianxiang and Xianfeng, there was a middle-aged man with disheveled hair. He was extremely handsome, but he seemed to have experienced many vicissitudes of life. The clothes he was wearing were extremely strange, and they were definitely not what was popular now. Who are you? The three-eyed creature's leader roared. He's just a lucky person who didn't die. The middle-aged man let out a soft sigh. He then looked around and said, Since I've encountered you, consider it your bad luck. I'll send you on your way. You're talking big. Let's attack together. The three-eyed creature's leader roared. Following that, all of the three-eyed creatures' third eyes lit up and shot out beams of divine light that pierced through the middle-aged man. The leader of the three-eyed creatures was especially powerful. It was unimaginably powerful, and the divine light it shot out directly pierced a huge hole in the space. Buzz! In the next moment, the sound of a sword rang out. The middle-aged man didn't move. His eyes lit up and a sword light flew out from his right eye, sweeping in all directions. Poochie! All of the three-eyed creatures around the ancient desolate city were cut in half by a single blade. as if they were nothing more than grass. Including the leader, he was killed with a single sword strike. In the clouds far away, Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Heavens, this was too powerful. Who was this middle-aged man? At this moment, the middle-aged man looked in Lu Ming's direction and said indifferently, "Little guy, have you seen enough? If you've seen enough, come out." Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He glanced at Dandan and said, "Your inscription is useless." "Nonsense. That person is not simple at all. Why do I find him so familiar? I can't remember. Dandan muttered. Lu Ming ignored Dandan and flew toward the ancient barren city. Lord Lu Ming. When Xian Xiang saw Lu Ming, she was ecstatic. Lu Ming. Xian Feng's eyes flashed with surprise. Haha, Xian Xiang, brother Xian Feng, I didn't expect to meet you here. Who is this senior? Lu Ming flew to the front of Xian Xiang and the other two and cupped his fists at the middle-aged man. Lord Lu Ming, it's great that you're fine. This person is the ancestor of the Xian family. No, it should be the ancestor of the Xian family. The Xian family was founded by integrating the senior's blood essence. Xian Xiang hurriedly explained. I see. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Swish! At this moment, the middle-aged man suddenly appeared in front of Lu Ming. His eyes were like the stars in the universe as he fixed his gaze on Dandan. Oh my God, what are you doing? I'm the head of the top 10 war beasts, unparalleled in the world. Don't you dare have any ideas about me. Seeing that the middle-aged man was staring at it, Dandan was so frightened that it squalled. Its foreclaws clung tightly to Lu Ming's neck, and its head shrank into its turtle shell. I didn't expect this. The middle-aged man sighed and looked at Lu Ming. His gaze seemed to be able to see through everything. There's also the bloodline of the 9 dragons. This little fellow's luck is not shallow. The middle-aged man sighed. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He was extremely shocked. The middle-aged man had actually recognized his 9-dragon bloodline with a single glance. Didn't the Supreme Master of the 9 Suns help him seal it? From the aura, wasn't it impossible to tell that he had the bloodline of the 9 dragons? This person was actually able to see through it with a single glance. Little guy, don't be nervous. Although the bloodline of the 9 dragons is rare, it's useless to me. The middle-aged man smiled. Lord Lu Ming, the patriarch, is repairing a teleportation array and is preparing to return to the primordial realm. You came at the right time. Let's go back together. Xian Xiang walked over and said, We can go back. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he was overjoyed. That's right. There was originally a teleportation array in the desolate ancient tomb, but it was destroyed. During this period of time, the old ancestor has been repairing it. Xian Xiang said, You guys wait for me here. There are a few ants, I'll go and deal with them. The middle-aged man said. As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared. Lu Ming was right beside him, but he did not sense how the middle-aged man disappeared. It was as if the middle-aged man was not there at all. But the next moment, the middle-aged man suddenly appeared again. From start to finish, it had not even been 2 breaths. It's been settled. Come with me. Then, he walked towards the desolate ancient tomb. This is too fast. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Lu Ming guessed that the middle-aged man must have gone to deal with the battleships. However, the speed was too terrifying. Lord Lu Ming, let's go. Xian Xiang pulled Lu Ming and walked towards the desolate ancient tomb. Xian Feng did not say anything and followed him in. After entering the tomb of the ancients, the door closed. The desolate ancient tomb was huge and spacious like a hall. In the hall, there was only one bronze coffin that was open. Behind the bronze coffin, there was a small altar. The middle-aged man came to the side of the altar and formed a seal with his hands. Runes entered the altar. Lord Lu Ming, the teleportation array will be repaired in a day. Let's wait for a while. Xian Xiang said. Good. Xuanxiang, have you been here all this time? Lu Ming asked curiously. The middle-aged man exuded a wondrous aura that gushed into the altar. Buzz! The altar trembled violently and gave off a bright light. Then, a vortex appeared above everyone's head. At the next moment, a powerful force acted on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's vision turned black and he felt as if he had entered an endless darkness. After Lu Ming and the rest were teleported away, the altar exploded with a bang and turned into dust. The Hong domain was located in the west of the Tianqian region, separated from the Tianqian region by 16 large domains. The Great Domain was extremely vast, 7 or 8 times the size of the Tianqian region. It was filled with geniuses and experts at least 10 times stronger than the Tianqian region. Among the hundreds of big regions in the East continent, it could be ranked above average. The Hong domain was also a large domain under the jurisdiction of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. In a remote mountain in the Great Domain there was an ancient site. At this moment, a dozen young men were exploring the site. The dozen or so young men all looked to be in their 20s. Their cultivation levels were extremely high, and each of them was at least at the level 6 Martial King realm. 5 or 6 of them had even reached the late stages of the King tier. The leader was a young man in a blue robe. He had a strong aura and was a level 9 upper tier king. At this moment, they were fighting a group of khaki-colored puppets. Quick, this is the relic left behind by the puppet sect, an ancient sect. Let's get rid of these burly figures and open the last door. The treasures of the puppet sect must be behind the last door. We can't let that bitch flying snow get ahead of us. The blue-robed youth shouted. In front of them there was a cliff. On the cliff there was a stone door. Their goal was behind the stone door. Bang! Bang! One by one, the yellow puppets were destroyed by them, turning into yellow stones. Roar! Roar! However, a large group of khaki-colored puppets rushed out from all directions. Damn it, go to hell! The blue-robed young man shouted coldly. His hand glowed and a scroll appeared. He opened the scroll, and on it was a drawing of a combat sword. After the blue-robed young man injected his vital essence, the scroll emitted a dazzling light. Endless sword chi shot out from the scroll and attacked the puppets. A large number of puppets were destroyed. Lu Ming fell into the darkness. He did not know how long had passed when suddenly, a hazy light pierced into his eyes. Lu Ming opened his eyes and was slightly stunned. He found that he was in an underground cave. The walls of the underground cave were inlaid with luminous stones that gave off a hazy light. There was an ancient stone platform under his feet, and there were inscriptions on it. Where is this? How did I teleport here? Lu Ming's mind whirred and he started to look around. The underground cave was empty. It seemed that no one had been here for a long time. There's a stone door there. Lu Ming saw a stone door on one of the walls at a glance. Lu Ming walked over and gave the stone door a hard push, but it did not budge. There should be a switch. Immediately, Lu Ming started to search the area. At this time, the blue-robed young man and the others had already defeated all the yellow puppets. Hurry up, open that stone door. We have to get there before that bitch flying snow, the blue-robed youth called out. After saying this, he rushed to the stone door and gave it a hard push, but it didn't move at all. What's going on? It can't be opened. Let's attack together and smash this stone door. The blue-robed youth called out. Ka. At that moment, the stone door moved and opened automatically. What made the blue-robed young man dumbfounded was that a young man actually walked out of the stone door. A long spear appeared in his hand and he swept it across. As the spear swept out, the entire world trembled. The blue-robed young man's attack was instantly destroyed. Not good, retreat. The blue-robed young man's expression changed drastically and he retreated rapidly. However, he was still one step too slow and was hit by Lu Ming's spear. His body was sent flying like a cannonball, and he only managed to stabilize himself after flying 1,000 meters. The blue-robed young man spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. The others' expressions changed drastically, and they looked at Lu Ming in shock. The blue-robed young man was at the Lever 9 Martial King realm. Even in Hongcheng, where geniuses were aplenty, he was considered a top-tier genius. However, he was sent flying by Lu Ming's spear and spat out blood. This young man who had suddenly appeared was so powerful that it shocked them. Buzz! An NBSP whoosh! Oh! At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. More than a dozen figures flew over, and in the next moment, more than a dozen beautiful women appeared in the field. That's right, those who had just arrived were all young women in their 20s. They had graceful figures and were beautiful. In particular, there was a woman in a white dress in front of them. She looked to be in her early 20s, and her skin was as smooth as jade. She was extremely beautiful. Her white dress fluttered in the wind, like a fairy from the 9 heavens descending to the mortal world. Qin Qingfei, it seems like you've hit an iron wall? The lady in the white dress swept her gaze across the room and stopped at Lu Ming for a moment. Then, she looked at the blue-robed young man and said with a smile, Flying Snow, you're too late. The treasures of the puppet sect have all been taken by this brat. The blue-robed young man, Qin Qingfei, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and snorted. Oh! Fei Shui looked at Lu Ming deep in thought. The treasure of the puppet sect is no small matter. Fei Shui, don't you plan to take it? Qin Qingfei rolled his eyes and asked Fei Shui. He was planning to incite Flying Snow to attack Lu Ming. Fei Shui smiled and said, There are countless treasures in the world. To get them, one needs luck and strength. Since this young hero got them first, it means that my luck is not here yet. Why should I force it? How could Fei Shui not know what Qin Qingfei was thinking? How could he fall into Qin Qingfei's trap? Seeing that Fei Shui didn't fall into his trap, Qin Qingfei was very disappointed and his face darkened. Brat, I don't care which force you're from. You'll remember this for hurting me. Qin Qingfei looked at Lu Ming again and left a cold sentence before turning to leave. The young men followed behind him. Lu Ming smiled and did not mind. He had already shown mercy just now. If the other party still did not know what was good for him, then he could not be blamed. Young hero, how may I address you? Fei Shui walked towards Lu Ming and cupped her fists. I'm Lu Ming. Miss, may I ask which region this is? Lu Ming asked again. What? Fei Shui and the other young women were also stunned. Fei Shui looked at Lu Ming suspiciously and asked, This is the Hong domain. Young hero, are you from another domain? The Grand Domain. Lu Ming's expression was a little ugly. After joining the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, Lu Ming had naturally studied the geographical distribution of the Divine Wilderness continent. Naturally, he knew about the Hong domain. The Grand Domain was 16 large domains away from the Tianqian domain. It was unknown how many tens of thousands of miles away they were. How were they supposed to return? To tell you the truth, I'm from the Tianqian region, and I'm also an Empyrean Heaven Divine Guard. I accidentally entered an ancient ruin and ended up here. Lu Ming came up with a random reason. If he said that he had entered another world and then came here, most people would not believe him. You're from the Tianqian region, and you're also an Empyrean Heaven Divine Guard. Fei Shui and the others looked at each other in disbelief. Chapter 583. 583 Inter-Province Transportation Formation. That's right, this is my Divine Guard's token. You can take a look. Oh. Lu Ming passed his Divine Guard token to Flying Snow. When he first arrived, Lu Ming was in urgent need of help. Furthermore, Fei Shui and the rest did not seem like Qin Qingfei. They seemed easy to get along with. Hence, Lu Ming had the intention to befriend them. Fei Shui took the token and looked at it. She was surprised. You really are the Ditian Divine Guard from the Tianqian region. Even though Fei Shui was extremely surprised, the information recorded in the Divine Guard token was irrefutable. The token of the Divine Guard was made in a special way, and it was extremely difficult for outsiders to imitate. The other women were also extremely surprised. They didn't expect that the Ditian Divine Guards of the Tianqian region would appear here. They're actually Ditian Divine Guards from another region. I've never seen anyone from another region in my entire life. Is the Tianqian region fun? Was it the same as the Great Domain? He looks similar to us and he's quite handsome. Hee, are you infatuated again? You can't move when you see a beautiful man? More than 10 young and beautiful women surrounded Lu Ming and chattered. More than 10 pairs of beautiful eyes surrounded Lu Ming and sized him up as if they were looking at a rare animal. Lu Ming was a little speechless. He smiled bitterly and touched his nose. All right, don't look at Brother Lu like that. We're all girls. Don't be afraid of Brother Lu making fun of us. Fei Shui said awkwardly. The girls then backed away, but their beautiful eyes were still darting around Lu Ming. Brother Lu, since we're here by chance, why don't we head to Hong City and take a look? Fei Shui looked at Lu Ming, her beautiful eyes filled with curiosity. Of course she knew about the Tianxian region. It was a small region that was far inferior to the Great Domain. However, it was obvious that Qin Qingfei had suffered a great loss at the hands of Lu Ming. A person who came from the Tianxian region could easily defeat Qin Qingfei. He was definitely not an ordinary person. It was very likely that he was one of the top geniuses in the Tianxian region. She also wanted to make friends with him. After all, one more friend meant one more path. Miss Flying Snow, may I know where the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace branch in the Hong Domain is? I have something important to do and need to rush back to the Tianxian region. I need to use the inter-province transportation formation. Lu Ming asked. The Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace had an interdomain teleportation array in every sub-palace of a large region. The Profound Sky sub-palace also had one, and it was located in the Profound Sky City. After all, each region was too vast. If they flew alone, it would take a long time. It was much more convenient with the teleportation formation. Brother Lu wants to use the inter-province transportation array. It just so happens that Hong City is a branch palace of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace in the Hong Domain. The inter-province transportation array is located in Hong City, and it's 3 days' journey from here to Hong City. Brother Lu just so happens to be going to Hong City with us. I'll help you arrange the matter of the inter-province transportation array. Fei Shui said. Then thank you very much, Lady Flying Snow. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He cupped his fists to express his gratitude. However, Brother Lu just injured Qin Qingfei. This person is narrow-minded and definitely won't let this matter rest. It's best not to bump into him on this trip. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will cause trouble for nothing. Fei Shui reminded. Following that, Lu Ming followed Flying Snow and the rest and flew towards Hong City. 3 days later they arrived at Hong City. Hong City was where the branch palace of Hong Domain was located. It was a grand and magnificent place. He saw 8 huge mountains piercing through the clouds like divine swords. The 8 peaks were in 8 different locations separated by thousands of miles. And the vast territory in the middle of the 8 peaks was Hong City. Some of the city walls around Great City were directly made of 8 mountains. The city walls were only cultivated in the areas between the mountains. It was huge. Fei Shui smiled. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. It seemed that Fei Shui was quite influential in the Great Domain Branch Palace, since she was able to book a spot in the inter-province transportation formation so quickly. Thank you, Auntie Flying Snow. If there's anything that I can help with in the future, I'll definitely not decline. Lu Ming expressed his thanks. Chapter 584. 584 Deliberately making things difficult for her. If not for Fei Shui's help, it would not have been so easy for him to obtain a spot to cross the teleportation array. Oh, Brother Lu, do you want to leave immediately, or stay in Hong City for a few more days? Fei Shui can be your host and bring you around. Fei Shui said. There's no need for that. I have something urgent to attend to and need to rush back to the Tianxian region. If there's a chance in the future, I'll talk to Miss Fei Shui again. Lu Ming was indeed a little anxious. There were only a few days left until the half-year agreement. He did not know how Mulan was doing. All right, I'll bring Brother Lu over then. Fei Shui smiled. Then, Lu Ming followed Fei Shui and walked in the direction of the inter-province transportation portal. In the center of Hong City there was an endless cluster of palaces. Tall and majestic walls were built to block the way. Along the way there were many checkpoints. Following the flying snow, they passed through 7 checkpoints. Flying snow, you're here. Is this the little brother who wants to use the interdomain teleportation formation? A middle-aged man was waiting at the 8th scratch and draw booth. He smiled when he saw Fei Shui. Deacon Lu, that's right. I really have to thank Deacon Lu for his help this time. Fei Shui smiled. Lady Fei Shui is too polite. I've already made the arrangements. Follow me. Deacon Lu said courteously. Following that, Fei Shui and Lu Ming followed Attendant Lu and continued on their journey. It's you? Kid, stop right there. After passing through a few more checkpoints, a gloomy voice suddenly rang out. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and his face darkened. Qin Qingfei. Fei Shui's expression changed. Qin Qingfei brought a few young men and walked over. He looked at Lu Ming with a cold expression. Deacon Lu, what happened? You actually brought an outsider and wandered around the important place of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. How dare you? Qin Qingfei's gaze shifted and landed on Attendant Lu. Deacon Lu's expression changed. He cupped his fists and said, Young Master Qin, this young hero is a good friend of Miss Fei Shui. Not only that, he's also an Emperor Heaven Divine Guard of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Nonsense. What Detian Divine Guards? Why have I never seen them before? Tell me, what do you want to do with them? Qin Qingfei berated. Deacon Lu's expression was somewhat unsightly as he said, This young hero wants to take the inter-province transportation formation. What? Take the interdomain teleportation formation? The inter-province transportation array is an extremely important item of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. You actually brought an unknown person to take the inter-province transportation array? What if this person is a spy? If something happens to the inter-province transportation formation, can you bear the responsibility? Even 10 of your lives won't be enough. Qin Qingfei roared. This. Deacon Lu's expression turned even uglier and he began to hesitate. Previously, it was Fei Shui who came to ask him for help. Fei Shui's identity was no small matter. Naturally, he agreed readily. He did not think too much about it and did not suspect Lu Ming's identity. Now that Qin Qingfei said that, he was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. Indeed, if something went wrong, he would be finished. Even Fei Shui couldn't protect him. Qin Qingfei, Lu Ming is an Emperor Sky Divine Guard. He's not a spy. Fei Shui said. If you're not a spy, show me the evidence. Qin Qingfei sneered. He did not believe Lu Ming at all when he said that he was from the Tianxian region. You want to see evidence, right? This is my Detian Divine Guard token. Take a look. Lu Ming took out his Divine Guard token and threw it to Qin Qingfei. Qin Qingfei took a look and his expression changed immediately, revealing a trace of disbelief. Lu Ming was really the Detian Divine Guard, and it was the Detian Divine Guard of the Tianxian region. Previously, Lu Ming had already said that he was an Emperor Sky Divine Guard from the Tianxian region, but he did not believe him at all. Why would an Emperor Heaven Divine Guard at the Martial King realm from the Tianxian region come to the Hong domain, and even appear in the ruins of the puppet sect? He had thought that Lu Ming was just fooling him. He had never expected that it was true. Now you see, I'm an Empyrean Heaven Divine Guard. No matter which palace it is, it all belongs to the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. As long as you're an Empyrean Heaven Divine Guard, you're qualified to use the inter-province transportation formation. Now you can get lost, right? Lu Ming used his vital essence to roll the Divine Guard token back. He said coldly, emphasizing the last 2 words, get lost. Qin Qingfei's expression turned ugly, and his expression changed rapidly. Finally, he rolled his eyes and sneered. So what if you're the Detian Divine Guard? It's a pity that the teleportation formation slots have been used up, and we'll have to wait for the next one. The quota is gone. Impossible. I asked around yesterday. It's not over at all. Fei Shui said. Yesterday? Sorry, I just finished today. Qin Qingfei sneered. Impossible. Qin Qingfei, get out of the way. I want to go over and ask him personally. Fei Shui shouted. Ask what? The elder in charge of the inter-province transportation formation is my 8th uncle. I'll send him a message now and ask him to come over and talk to you. Qin Qingfei snorted. He took out a jade talisman and sent a message. Not long after, there was a flash of light, and a middle-aged man appeared in the field. Qingfei, what's the matter? The middle-aged man looked at Qin Qingfei. 8th uncle, Fei Shui brought a brat with her. She wants to use the interdomain teleportation array. I told them that there were no more slots, but they didn't believe me. Qin Qingfei said. The middle-aged man looked at Fei Shui and said, there are indeed no more spot. Impossible. There were still slots left yesterday. Fei Shui's expression was ugly. Fei Shui, you're getting more and more daring. Are you suspecting me? I've been in charge of the teleportation array for many years. Do you think I don't know if there are any spots? Please go back. The middle-aged man's face darkened as he waved his hand. Fei Shui bit her red lips. Then when will the next batch of slots be available? At this moment Lu Ming spoke. I'm not sure about the next batch. After using it this time, the inter-province transportation formation will need to be repaired. It will probably take a year and a half. The middle-aged man sneered. A year and a half. Lu Ming's expression was extremely gloomy. 1.5 years, how could he make it in time? Qin Qingfei and the middle-aged man were clearly making things difficult for him. However, this was the Hongyu Palace and there were countless experts here. The middle-aged man's cultivation was unfathomable, so it was impossible for him to barge in. The only path he could take was death. However, the other party insisted that there were no more slots, so he had no choice. Hee hee. Qin Qingfei laughed coldly. He was extremely pleased to see the ugly expressions on Fei Shui and Lu Ming's faces. Lady Flying Snow, let's go. Lu Ming turned around and left. Now he could only think of other ways. Brother Lu, there might be another way. On the way, Fei Shui said. Oh. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In 6 days, the biggest auction in Hong City, the Heaven Secret Auction organized by the Heaven Secret Chamber of Commerce, will be held. Every time, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace will auction 2 slots for the inter-province transportation in the form of a token. They are known as the cross-province token. The purpose is to give those outside the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace the opportunity to cross-province and head to other large regions. As long as one's identity is clear, they can buy the token. As long as they can buy the token and have no problems with their identity, Qin Qingfei and the others will have no reason to stop them. Fei Shui explained. Chapter 585. 585 Chapter 585 Auction. Domain Teleporting Token? In 6 days? Oh. Lu Ming's eyes darted around. 6 days later it was too late. It was already the agreed date. However, there was no other way now. All right, I must get a territory crossing token in 6 days. Lu Ming muttered in a firm voice. As they walked they chatted. Soon the two of them walked out of the palace. Brother Lu, if you need anything just let me know. I'll auction off a territory crossing token, which is very valuable. If you need the help of spirit crystals, I can help you temporarily. Fei Shui said. There's no need for that, Miss Flying Snow. I still have to thank you for your help this time. I will definitely obtain the territory crossing token 6 days later. Lu Ming cupped his fists and then left. 6 days later. Even if I manage to get the token, I can only use it on the 2nd day, which means 7 days later. I hope I can make it in time. Lu Ming sighed in his heart. Lu Ming did not return to the inn immediately. He asked around and headed to the Tianji auction house. He did not have many supreme spiritual crystals on him now. 800,000 supreme spiritual crystals were probably not enough. According to what Fei Shui said, the price of 2 cross-domain quotas would be very high. Lu Ming planned to take out some items and put them up for auction at the Secret Chamber of Commerce. What should we use to bid? Lu Ming pondered as he walked. He had a lot of low-level items on him, but they were not worth much. The high-level ones such as the True War Dragon Technique, the cultivation method of the Dragon God's 3 Absolutes, the 9 Dragons' Heaven-Treading Steps, and the Path Understanding Ancient Tree, were not things that could be taken out for auction. He could take out some of the dark yellow soil to auction, but Lu Ming was reluctant to do so. There were also 5 pieces of the highest grade level 6 common knotgrass. Lu Ming could not give them away because he planned to use them to break through to the 7th grade physical body. As for heaven-level martial arts techniques, Lu Ming had 7 to 8 of them on him, all of which were heaven-level low rank. However, it was impossible to sell 7 or 8 heaven-grade low-level martial arts techniques for too high a price. It seems like I'll have to sell some intent crystals. Lu Ming pondered. And NBSP, he had a lot of intent crystals right now, so there was no harm in selling some that he didn't use. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the Heavenly Secret Auction House. The Secret Chamber of Commerce was the #1 chamber of commerce on the continent, and its reputation was unquestionable. "Young master, are you auctioning a treasure?" As soon as they entered the Heavenly Secret Auction House, a beautiful young lady walked up to them and asked with a smile. "Not bad." Lu Ming nodded. Those who came to the Heaven Secrets Auction House were usually there to auction their treasures. "Young master, please follow me. Your treasure needs to be appraised by an appraiser." The young lady brought Lu Ming to a counter. "Lord Appraiser, this young hero wants to put up a treasure for auction," the young girl said to a white-haired old man on the counter. "I know. You may leave." The old man waved his hand, and the young girl left. "Little brother, what treasure do you want to auction?" The old man looked at Lu Ming with a smile. He was very kind and made people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. As expected of the Secret Chamber of Commerce, its quality was truly different. "I want to put up an auction for intent crystals," Lu Ming said. "Oh, how many were they auctioning?" "According to the rules, you can't put it up for auction for less than 10 yuan. The old man smiled. There were too few of them. The treasures auctioned by the Secret Chamber of Commerce all had a base price of more than 10,000 supreme spiritual crystals. "I'm auctioning 2,000 low-grade intent crystals," Lu Ming said. He then took out a storage ring and passed it to the old man. "What? 2,000? The old man's voice suddenly rose, his face full of shock. Gao King's voice attracted some people's attention. Some of the girls even guessed that there was some particularly valuable treasure. Otherwise, why would the appraiser be so surprised? And NBSP, intent crystals were consumables. Warriors who obtained them would use them as long as their attributes matched to increase their strength. It was extremely rare for someone to put up 2,000 intent crystals for auction. The old man's consciousness entered the storage ring to take a look, and his eyes widened. 2,000 gold attribute intent crystals. All of them are gold attribute intent crystals. The old man exclaimed. He initially thought that even if Lu Ming took out 2,000 esoteric crystals, they would be a mix of all kinds of attributes. If that was the case, the price would be much lower. He didn't expect them to all be gold attribute intent crystals. The price of the same type of intent crystal would be much higher. Those who cultivated the creation of gold would probably bid like crazy. The market price of an intent crystal was 1,000 top-grade spirit crystals, but in reality, 1,000 top-grade spirit crystals were not enough to buy one intent crystal. It could often be fried to a few thousand yuan or even more. And the fewer intent crystals there were, the cheaper the price. If there were a lot of them and they were sold in groups, the price would be even higher. A warrior refining 1 or 2 intent crystals could only speed up the comprehension of intent. However, if he used it continuously, not only would the effect be good, but it could also help him break through to the realm of intent. For example, if one's intent realm encountered a bottleneck, 1 or 2 intent crystals wouldn't be of much use, but 100 might be enough to break through the bottleneck. And NBSP. Thus, the more there were, the higher the average price of each intent crystal would be. If 2,000 metal intent crystals were to be auctioned off at the same time, the price would definitely be terrifyingly high. Little brother, I'll help you register. The old man quickly helped Lu Ming to register, and then handed him a proof of auction. Little brother, according to the rules, After the auction is done, there's a 5% commission fee. The old man laughed. I understand. Lu Ming nodded. He kept the consignment certificate and left the Tianji auction house. After making a few rounds around Hong City, Lu Ming found a restaurant and walked up to a table by the window. He ordered some food and wine and started eating. Did you hear? There's going to be a great treasure being auctioned at the Heavenly Secret Auction this time. I've heard about the Secret Chamber of Commerce's promotion a few days ago. I wonder what kind of treasure it is. I don't know exactly what treasure it is, but an elder of my clan works in the Heaven's Secrets auction house. According to him, it's a rare treasure. Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. In the restaurant, some other people were eating and drinking while chatting. A short and chubby young man said the loudest with a smug look on his face. At this moment, the chunky young man's expression changed. He took out a jade voice transmission talisman and his expression changed when he saw it. Big news, big news. I just received news that there's another treasure up for auction. Can you guess what it is? He shouted. How can you guess? Tell me. The others said. Aha, let me tell you. This time it's intent crystals, Yemo said. The short and fat youth said. Intent crystals? What's so strange about that? It's not a treasure. The others were disdainful. Although the Power Upanishad crystals aren't a great treasure, once you have enough of them, they'll become a great treasure. I heard that this time, a set of 2,000 gold Power Upanishad crystals will be auctioned off at the same time. The Secret Chamber of Commerce has already started to publicize it. The short and fat youth shouted. What? 2,000 gold intent crystals? The others were all shocked. Oh. Chapter 586. 586 Start of the Grand Meeting. Lu Ming, who was at the side, was also stunned. He did not expect the news to spread so quickly. Oh, the Secret Chamber of Commerce's speed was truly fast. In fact, it wasn't difficult to understand why the Secret Chamber of Commerce would do this. This way, he could attract even more people who needed gold attribute intent crystals to bid for them. When the time came, the price would rise even higher, and the Secret Chamber of Commerce would naturally earn more. Lu Ming smiled. This was a good thing for him. After having his fill, Lu Ming walked out of the restaurant and returned to the inn. There were still 6 days left, just enough time to cultivate. Now that Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of Level 9 Martial King realm, it would be impossible for him to break through in a short period of time. As for his martial technique, the Dragon God's 3 absolutes, he had already cultivated it to the 5th level. As for the 9 Dragons' Heaven treading steps, although he had made rapid progress recently, he still needed some time to cultivate the 4th step. The 4th step of the 9 Dragons' Heaven stomping steps was equivalent to the 6th level of a heaven-grade upper-level martial technique, and it was extremely powerful. Now, I can only improve my physical body, Lu Ming pondered. As long as Lu Ming's physical body broke through to the 7th stage, his combat strength would increase by another level. A 7th-grade body was 10 times stronger than a 6th-grade body. There was a huge gap between the 6th-grade body and the 7th-grade body. Lu Ming took out a stalk of common knotgrass. The common knotgrass was originally an ordinary level 1 spiritual herb. However, after growing on Xianhuang silicotic soil for countless years, it had turned into the highest level 6 spiritual herb. The medicinal essence it contained was extremely rich. Lu Ming cast the 10,000 spiritual combat body. He slowly transformed the 7-section herb into the chi of 10,000 spirits, and began to cultivate his physical body. A top-rank level 6 spiritual herb was very useful for Sea of Soul realm experts. The essence of the herb was too rich. The seething medicinal essence continuously transformed into wisps of chi of myriad spirits, and seeped into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's muscles, bones, internal organs, and veins were all improving rapidly, approaching a new level. A day had passed. Lu Ming refined a stalk of common knotgrass. He took out another one and continued refining. Day after day. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. Lu Ming had refined all the 5-story 7-section grass. At this moment, Lu Ming's body was shrouded in a dense layer of mist. A strong medicinal fragrance emanated from Lu Ming's body. Crackling. The sound of beans being fried came from Lu Ming's body. A gray mist was discharged from his body. It was the impurities in his body. Lu Ming's body was covered with a layer of treasure light. It looked like a supreme treasure. After 5 days of cultivation and refining 5 stalks of common knotgrass, Lu Ming's physical body had finally broken through to rank 7. His physical strength had increased tenfold. Kacha! Kacha! With a single thought, Lu Ming's body emitted a sound. Then Lu Ming's body grew taller and his muscles swelled up. In a few breaths, Lu Ming had transformed into a burly young man who was 2 meters tall. This was the mystery of a rank 7 body. When one's body reached rank 7, they could change the density of their muscles, bones, size, and body shape at will. There was another explosion and Lu Ming changed back. He took out a level 5 spirit sword and slashed his arm. Lu Ming felt as if he was cutting leather. He could not cut in at all. The level 5 spiritual sword was extremely sharp, but it could not even cut Lu Ming's skin. One could see how strong Lu Ming's physical defense was. Most Sea of Soul Realm experts couldn't even reach the 7th stage body. He injected his Zhen Yuan and made a cut on his arm. But before the blood could flow out, the muscles on the wound started to wriggle rapidly. In a few breaths, the wound healed, leaving a scar. The scar was also disappearing quickly. He believed that in a few hours, the scar would be completely gone. A rank 7 body is indeed powerful. This way, my combat strength has increased by at least 20%. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Don't look down on 20%. Lu Ming's combat strength was the combination of vital essence, intent, martial arts techniques, and many other aspects. Moreover, Lu Ming's combat strength was already extremely shocking. It was already terrifying to have it increased by 20% all of a sudden. This was also because of the magic of the 10,000 spiritual combat body. Even if other people had the highest grade level 6 spiritual herbs, it would be useless. There's still some medicinal power left in my body. There's still 1 day before the auction starts, so I can refine it. Lu Ming immediately activated his 10,000 spirit combat body and continued to refine the medicinal effects. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The next day, Lu Ming received a message. Fei Xue had arrived and was waiting for him downstairs. Lady Flying Snow. Lu Ming came downstairs and smiled. Brother Lu. Fei Xue also smiled. She looked at Lu Ming in surprise. After not seeing him for a few days, she could feel that there were some changes in Lu Ming, but she could not put her finger on what exactly had changed. Lady Flying Snow, you are also going to the auction? Lu Ming asked. The Secret Chamber of Commerce only holds an auction once every 6 months. I heard that there's a rare treasure up for auction this time. Of course I'm going to see it. Also this time there will be a stack of 2,000 gold element intent crystals being auctioned. I have an elder who also cultivates the gold intent realm, and it'll be his birthday soon. I want to buy it and give it to him as a gift. Fei Xue laughed. Oh. Lu Ming nodded. I really don't know who has 2,000 gold attribute power Upanishad crystals. Moreover, it's rare to see all of them being put up for auction. I guess the competition this time will be very fierce. I don't know if I can get it or not. Fei Xue sighed. Lu Ming smiled and touched his nose. The two of them walked towards the heavenly secret auction. It didn't take long before they arrived. Miss Fei Xue, you're here too. Please follow me to the VIP room. As soon as Fei Xue arrived, a beautiful young lady welcomed her with a smile. She brought Lu Ming and Fei Xue to a VIP room. Like most auction venues, the first floor of the auction venue was a huge hall. Above the hall was a high platform for the host of the auction. On the second floor, there were many VIP rooms that surrounded the entire hall. The view was excellent and one could see the scene below. Lu Ming and Fei Xue went to VIP room number 10. Lu Ming opened the window and looked out. At this moment there were already many people in the hall. The number of people was increasing. In guest room number 5, Qin Qingfei and a middle-aged man were sitting inside. This time, I'll definitely get 2,000 gold intent crystals. Qin Qingfei's eyes were burning with passion. What he cultivated was the metal intent, And he had also reached a bottleneck. If he could get 2,000 metal intent crystals, he would definitely be able to break through this bottleneck, and his metal intent would also advance by leaps and bounds. Second young master, metal intent crystals might be precious, but our goal this time is that treasure. The middle-aged man reminded. Don't worry. This time my father has given me a large number of supreme spiritual crystals. I'll definitely be able to get that treasure, Qin Qingfei said with confidence. Thereafter he got up and opened the window. He immediately saw Lu Ming opposite him. Chapter 587. 587 Chapter 587 Inscription Scroll. It's that kid again. Oh. Qin Qingfei's eyes turned cold when he saw Lu Ming, and a cold smile appeared on his face. This kid is most likely here for the territory crossing token. Hehe, it's not that easy to get the token. Qin Qingfei sneered and closed the window. There was a gloominess in Lu Ming's eyes. More and more people gathered in the hall. In the end, there were at least 20,000 people. One must know that there was a requirement to enter the heavenly secret auction house. One must be at least a martial king. Those below the martial king realm were not allowed to enter. In other words, the 20,000 people present were all martial artists above the martial king realm. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. The abilities of the Grand Domain were indeed powerful. It was not something that the Tianxian region could compare to. There were less than 20,000 martial kings in the Tianxian region. But now there were more than 20,000 people in an auction. There was no way to compare. At this moment, a white-robed, refined-looking middle-aged man walked onto the stage. The branch president of Graceful Wind is here. As soon as this middle-aged man went on stage, the entire place fell silent, as if he had a great deterrent force. The middle-aged man smiled and said, I believe many of you know me, but there are some new friends who don't. Let me introduce myself again. My name is Feng Xiao, and I'm the president of the Secret Chamber of Commerce's branch in the Hong Domain. I'm the host of this auction, the elder said. This time, there are a total of 218 treasures to be auctioned. They are definitely of the highest quality. I hope everyone will be satisfied. Alright, time is limited. Let's start the first auction of the day. Feng Xiao went straight to the point and announced the start of the auction. Immediately, a beautiful young lady walked over with a tray. There was a drawing on the tray. Feng Xiao opened the drawing and saw that it was a lightning bolt. I believe everyone has already seen that this is an inscription scroll. As long as you inject your vital essence into it, you can activate the inscription on the scroll and launch a fatal attack. The power of this lightning inscription scroll is equivalent to the strongest attack of a peak level 7 martial king. The starting price is 10,000 spiritual crystals of the highest quality, and the price increment must not be less than 1,000 spiritual crystals. After Feng Xiao's introduction, she stated her starting price. It's an inscription scroll. This thing is very rare. It can save your life at a critical moment. And its power is equivalent to the full force attack of a level 7 martial king. If used well, it can even kill a level 7 martial king. I'll take it. I'll pay 12,000 supreme spiritual crystals. There was a wave of discussion in the venue, and someone immediately began to bid. It's an inscription scroll. Lu Ming's expression changed. Inscription scrolls were scrolls refined by inscription masters, but ordinary inscription masters couldn't refine them at all. In order to refine an inscription scroll, the first condition was that one must be a pure inscription master. In fact, most of the so-called inscription masters were not pure. They mainly cultivated martial arts with inscriptions as a supplement. Most warriors would practice the Tao of inscription to aid their cultivation of martial arts. None of them were pure inscription masters. Without a pure inscriber, one would not be able to refine inscription scrolls. In the Tianxian region, there was not a single pure inscriber. As the saying goes, a person's energy is limited. If one wanted to become a pure inscriber, he would need to spend a lot of energy, and his martial cultivation would definitely not be too high. Besides, a pure inscriber's combat ability was extremely low before level 5. They could not be compared to martial artists. However, a pure inscriber would undergo a qualitative change once they broke through to the 5th rank. Their combat abilities would become extremely terrifying, and their combat methods would be extremely mysterious. Therefore, there was another name for a pure inscriber, and that was true. An inscription master. A true inscription master, a true inscription master. Lu Ming had read about these in the books in the past. He did not expect to see an inscription talisman that was refined by a true inscription alchemist. Just as Lu Ming was in the process of thinking, the price rose steadily. It had already exceeded 20,000 supreme spiritual crystals. What a bunch of country bumpkins. How could someone want such a trashy inscription talisman scroll? Back then, I casually refined an inscription talisman scroll, and it was 100,000 times, a million times better than this. Dandan was lying on Lu Ming's shoulder with one leg crossed. She was holding a level 5 spiritual herb that she had painstakingly soaked in Lu Ming's water, and was chewing on it. As he gnawed, he muttered, his face full of disdain. "Oh, then why don't you make one for me?" Lu Ming pursed his lips. I'm injured now. Otherwise, it would have been a matter of minutes." Dandan boasted shamelessly. At the side, Fei Shui looked at Dandan with interest. "Brother Lu, your turtle demonic beast is quite fun." Fei Shui laughed. When demonic beasts reached the king level, they could speak. Fei Shui did not find it strange. This guy, other than bragging, he only knows how to eat. He has no other use. Lu Ming said casually. Upon hearing this, Dandan could not take it anymore. She jumped up from Lu Ming's shoulder, widened her eyes and shouted, "Kid, what did you say? How dare you say that I'm useless? How dare you look down on me? I'm the head of the top 10 war beasts. My might is unparalleled in the world, and I'm invincible." Dandan pointed at Lu Ming with one claw and spoke like an old man. However, her voice was young and tender, like a 3-year-old child, causing Fei Shui to giggle non-stop. "Come on, just stay here obediently." Lu Ming smiled and went to grab Dandan's small head. "Preposterous, I'll bite." Dandan bared her teeth and opened her mouth to bite Lu Ming's finger. "Nest, you dare to bite me?" Lu Ming was caught off guard. Dandan bit his finger and he could not shake it off. In the end, Lu Ming surrendered and took out a level 5 spiritual herb. Only then did he release his mouth in anger. "Now you know how powerful I am." Dandan was very pleased with herself and hid to the side to gnaw on spirit herbs. This guy is the reincarnation of a peerless expert. Lu Ming did not believe it at all. At that moment, the inscription scroll had been sold for 35,000 top-quality spiritual crystals. After all, although the inscription scrolls were powerful, they were only one-time use. They would disappear once they were used, so their price wouldn't be too ridiculous. Next, Feng Xiu took out the second item, an upper level 5 alchemy furnace. Alchemy cauldrons were extremely rare, which was why their price was several times higher than normal spiritual weapons. The upper level 5 alchemy furnace was sold for 120,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Then, one item after another was taken out for auction. Refining materials, spirit herbs, spirit weapons, cultivation methods, secret manuals, and even demonic beasts and battle pets were available. However, although these treasures were precious, Lu Ming was not interested in any of them. The other VIP rooms on the second floor also didn't speak. Everyone knew that these people were waiting for the treasures to come. The further one progressed, the more precious the treasures would be. The 156th treasure is a bottle of primordial origin liquid. It's a mid-grade primordial origin liquid. I believe I don't need to explain its function. Everyone knows that it's the top sacred product for cultivating the body. Feng Xiu held a jade bottle in her hand and said loudly. Chapter 588. 588 Deliberately raising the price. Mid-grade innate original liquid. Oh! Lu Ming's gaze flickered. He still remembered that back in the Blazing Sun Empire, he had bid for the innate origin liquid. However, it was only a low-grade innate origin liquid and there were only 9 drops. But now it was a mid-grade innate original fluid and a whole bottle. The price of a mid-grade innate original fluid was many times higher than that of a low-grade one. However, with the strength of my body, this small bottle of mid-grade innate stock solution won't have much effect. However, I still have to buy it. It's also good to give it to father and mother to strengthen their bodies. Lu Ming had an idea and decided to buy it. Alright, this bottle of mid-grade primordial origin liquid has a starting price of 50,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Each bid must be at least 5,000. Feng Xiu announced. I bid 60,000. I'll pay 70,000. I'll get 80,000. As soon as Feng Xiu's voice fell, a group of people began to bid. This bottle of Khanate original liquid was not useful to Lu Ming, but it did not mean that it was useless to others. An ordinary warrior's body was not as strong as Lu Ming's. Even most Sea of Souls realm experts did not have a 7th rank body. Unless one had specially cultivated a body tempering cultivation technique. Ordinary kings used true origin to temper their bodies, but their bodies were only at the 4th stage. Only a small number of them could reach rank 5. The mid-grade innate original fluid was still very useful to them. The price kept rising and soon reached 100,000 supreme spiritual crystals. 150,000. Suddenly a clear voice was heard. The bidder was Lu Ming. The entire venue fell silent. Lu Ming added 50,000 in one go, showing his determination to win. 160,000. Another person made a bid. 200,000. Lu Ming made another bid, adding another 40,000 in one go. Many people shook their heads and sighed, giving up on the competition. It was obvious that Lu Ming did not hesitate to increase the price. He increased the price as if he was playing. They did not have the confidence to compete with Lu Ming. To be honest, Lu Ming did not care about tens of thousands of top-grade spirit crystals. Now, he needed at least 1 million top-grade spiritual crystals to increase his cultivation by 1 level. He had refined more than 20 million supreme spiritual crystals. 200,000 going once. Is there anyone else? Feng Xiu asked. 215,000. At this moment, a lazy voice was heard from guest room number 5. Qin Qingfei. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. That voice was Qin Qingfei's. In guest room number 5, Qin Qingfei sneered and thought, "Kid, you want it, but I won't let you get it so easily." 250,000. Lu Ming increased the price to 250,000 yuan. 255,000. Qin Qingfei's voice rang out again. But he only symbolically added 5,000. That seems to be Qin Qingfei. That's right. I wonder who's in VIP room 10? It seems like he offended Qin Qingfei. Qin Qingfei didn't want to bid at all, but intentionally raised the price. At the scene, many people saw through Qin Qingfei's intentions. $300,000. If you raise the price, I'll let you have it. Lu Ming's voice was heard. Haha, since you bid 300,000 to buy a bottle of primordial origin liquid that costs more than 100,000, how can I have the nerve to compete with you? I'll let you have it. Qin Qingfei's mocking voice rang out. 300,000 going once, anyone else? Feng Xiu asked. No one made a sound. What a joke. A bottle of mid-grade primordial origin liquid that cost more than 100,000 supreme spiritual crystals was already the highest price. 300,000 was too expensive. Who would bid for it? Feng Xiu asked 3 times, but no one made a bid. This bottle of primordial origin liquid naturally belonged to Lu Ming. After a short while, a young girl delivered the innate original fluid to guest room number 10. Young master, the president has said that you can pay for your spiritual crystals after the auction. The young girl said in a sweet voice. All right, thank you, miss. Lu Ming nodded and kept the primordial origin liquid. Brother Lu, do you have any treasures to auction? Fei Shue's beautiful eyes flashed as she said. Only treasures that were placed on auction could be paid for after the auction was over. Yes, there is one. Lu Ming nodded. Fei Shue didn't ask further, but she was curious. The auction continued and soon another dozen items were sold. I believe everyone has heard of the 198th item today. It's the interdomain token, which is a place to take the interdomain teleportation formation. I believe that everyone knows that the inter-province transportation formation consumes a terrifying amount of energy. Therefore, the cost of using it is extremely high. Even the nearest region would cost 100,000 supreme spiritual crystals. The further the distance, the more expensive the cost. Originally, there were 2 slots to be auctioned this time. However, the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace has transferred 1 slot back at the last minute, leaving only 1 slot left. This slot can be used up to 20 large domains. Now, the starting price is 100,000 supreme spiritual crystals, and each bid must be at least 10,000 spiritual crystals higher. Let the bidding begin. Feng Xiu announced. Only 1 left? I must get this one. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. I bid 110,000. I'll pay $120,000. As soon as Feng Xiu's voice fell, someone immediately started bidding. After all, the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace would only give out 1 or 2 slots each time. How many people were there in the entire Hong domain? There were always people who wanted to go to other large regions, so there were naturally many people bidding. It didn't take long for the price to rise to 200,000. I will pay 250000. Everyone, this old man has an important matter to attend to at the Flying Snowflake domain. Please give it to this old man. This old man will be extremely grateful. An old voice sounded. You have something to do? Am I fine? I want to go to Lu Heaven domain. I'll pay 280,000. A deep voice rang out, not giving in at all. 300,000. 320,000. Very quickly, the price rose to a high of 400,000. Those who bid were all above the level of king tiers. Those below the level of king tiers would not be able to take out so many supreme grade spirit crystals. I'll pay 600,000. Suddenly a voice rang out, shaking the entire place. He had added 200,000 supreme spiritual crystals all of a sudden, showing his determination to get it. It's VIP room number 10. Someone looked at VIP room number 10. The one who made the bid was naturally Lu Ming. He was determined to get this spot. The crowd fell silent. 600,000 yuan was too much. Moreover, who knew if Lu Ming would continue to increase the bid? Haha, this kid finally can't help but raise the price. 600,000 is too low. In guest room number 5, Qin Qingfei sneered and then spoke. 700,000. Qin Qingfei called out 700,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold and he looked at VIP room number 5. It's this guy again. I knew he would cause trouble. Fei Shui gritted her teeth. Chapter 589. 589. I know how to raise the price to 800,000. Oh. Lu Ming did not hesitate and continued to increase the bid. 810,000. Qin Qingfei immediately added another 10,000. A strong murderous intent flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he continued. $1 million. $1,010,000. Qin Qingfei added another 10,000. Whoosh! The crowd was in an uproar, and there was a heated discussion. The person in guest room 10 seems to have really offended Qin Qingfei. Otherwise, why would he keep targeting him? Qin Qingfei is obviously doing this on purpose. This is getting interesting. There were all sorts of expressions on the scene. Some were unhappy with Qin Qingfei's character, while others were gloating and watching the show. Detestable. Qin Qingfei, what do you mean by this? Are you deliberately raising the price? Fei Shui opened the window angrily and shouted at guest room number 5. That's Flying Snow. No wonder. Flying Snow's bloodline and Qin Qingfei's bloodline are enemies. No wonder Qin Qingfei would purposely increase the price. Someone immediately recognized Fei Shui. Fei Shui, don't you slander me. I'm bidding normally. You're allowed to bid for the treasures, but I'm not allowed to bid? The Heavenly Secret Auction House doesn't have such a rule. Qin Qingfei opened the window and sneered. He even threw a provocative look at Lu Ming with a mocking expression on his face. Detestable. The flying snow closed the crystal window and she gritted her teeth. It's fine, Lu Ming said calmly. He looked calm as he continued to bid. 1,200,000. In any case, 2,000 pieces of gold element intent crystals would at least be worth 2 million top-quality spirit crystals. This was the lowest price, and in reality it was definitely more than that. 1,210,000. Qin Qingfei continued to bid. 1,300,000. Lu Ming continued to bid without any hesitation. In guest room number 5, Qin Qingfei's face flashed with a proud smile. He was about to continue bidding. Second young master, the next treasure is more important. If you increase the price again and the other party doesn't want it, we will have to spend more than 3 million supreme spiritual crystals. I'm afraid that it will affect our future plans, the middle-aged man advised. Qin Qingfei's eyes flickered a few times, and he finally stopped bidding. He said in a teasing voice, 3 million for a spot. I'll give it to you. Since Qin Qingfei had withdrawn from the bidding, there was naturally no one else who placed a bid. The spot ended up in Lu Ming's hands. After a while, a young girl took out a token and passed it to Lu Ming. With this token, Lu Ming could use the interdomain teleportation array. Lu Ming kept the token. His face had always been calm, but beneath that calmness, there was an endless storm. The auction continued. The more he progressed, the more precious the treasures were. Especially after the 210th treasure, each of them was the best of the best. The bidding price of each of them was more than 1 million supreme spiritual crystals. Some of them even reached the sky-high price of 2 million supreme spiritual crystals. Alright, now there are only 2 treasures left. The next item is a set of intent crystals. Metal element intent crystals, a total of 2,000 pieces. After a pause, Graceful Wind continued. Everyone knows that the market price for profound crystals is around 1,000 pieces. But in reality, 1,000 pieces of profound crystals is absolutely impossible to buy. Moreover, the more profound crystals there are, the higher the price. Right now, there are 2,000 pieces of profound crystals. The base price is 2 million supreme-grade spirit crystals. Each bid cannot be less than 100,000. 2,100,000. 2,200,000. As soon as Feng Xiu's voice fell, someone immediately began to bid. Most of the people who bid were from the VIP rooms on the second floor. After all, more than 2 million supreme spiritual crystals was an astronomical figure for most people. The secret chamber of commerce had started to spread the news 5 or 6 days ago. Many people had come specifically for the 2,000 gold intent crystals. Therefore, there were many people bidding, and the competition was extremely fierce. Fei Shui was also tempted and joined the competition. In guest room number 5, Qin Qingfei's eyes were shining with passion. No one can compete with me. The 2,000 gold intent crystals are mine. He wasn't in a hurry to bid, and was waiting for the right moment. The price rose steadily and soon reached the 3 million mark. It was still rising. 3,500,000. Fei Shui bid. Lu Ming looked at Fei Shui in surprise. It seemed that Fei Shui's identity was not ordinary. It was considered a big deal for her to be able to fork out 3.5 million best-grade spirit crystals to celebrate a senior's birthday. However, someone immediately called out a price that exceeded flying snows. 3,600,000. 3,700,000. 4 million. In a short while it had broken through the 4 million mark. Forget it. This price is too high. Fei Shui sighed and withdrew from the competition. At this moment there were still about a dozen people bidding. These people definitely had extraordinary identities. Some of them had very old voices, and they were definitely seniors who had lived for a long time. 5 million. All of a sudden, a voice reverberated through the entire area, causing the entire place to fall silent. He had added 1 million supreme spiritual crystals all of a sudden, which was terrifying. Qin Qingfei. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He could tell that the person who had bid was Qin Qingfei. 5 million. Is there anyone else? Feng Xiu asked. 5,100,000. After a moment of silence, someone finally made a bid. 5,200,000. Qin Qingfei raised the bid without hesitation. 5,300,000. Someone continued to bid. The price continued to rise and soon it exceeded 6 million. At this price, most people backed out of the bidding. Only one person was still bidding against Qin Qingfei. 6,800,000. Qin Qingfei called out this terrifying price. The man was silent for a while. In the end, he sighed and didn't speak. Qin Qingfei's face was filled with joy. The 2,000 pieces of gold intent crystals were finally going to be his. And NBSP, with these 2,000 gold intent crystals, his intent could quickly make a breakthrough and reach the limit of the late stage of level 1. With one more step, he would be able to reach the great circle of level 1. Just as he was deep in thought, a voice interrupted him. 7 million. Someone called out a bid of 7 million. Brother Lu. Fei Shui muttered and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. It was Lu Ming who had called out the bid of 7 million. Damn it, Lu Ming. Qin Qingfei's eyes glinted coldly. Naturally, he could recognize Lu Ming's voice. 7,200,000. Qin Qingfei immediately added 200,000 pieces of supreme spiritual crystals. 7,300,000. Lu Ming smiled and added another 100,000 pieces of top-grade spiritual crystals. 7,500,000. Qin Qingfei added. 7,600,000. Lu Ming added 100,000 yuan each time. Chapter 590. 590 Elixir of Life. Damn it, damn it. That damned little bastard. Oh, Qin Qingfei roared. How could he not know that Lu Ming was trying to raise the price with him? This was a means to take revenge on him for raising the price previously. 8 million. Qin Qingfei roared and called out a high price of 8 million. 8,100,000. Lu Ming continued to add another 100,000. Damn it, kid. You're deliberately raising the price and disrupting the order of the auction. Qin Qingfei couldn't help but shout. How laughable. Who said that I was trying to raise the price? This is a normal auction. You're allowed to bid, but I'm not? Lu Ming sneered. This was what Qin Qingfei had said to Lu Ming and Fei Shui previously. Now Lu Ming had returned the favor. Damn it, 3 million. 8,400,000. 9 million. Qin Qingfei shouted out the number hysterically. This was already all he had. He could not add any more. Although he still had a large number of spiritual crystals on him, they were all transferred to him by his father to bid for that precious treasure. 9 million? Young Master Qin is indeed rich and generous. I admire you. Then, young Master Qin, I will let you have it. Lu Ming chuckled and backed out of the auction. 9 million was already a very high price. If he continued to raise the price, Lu Ming was afraid that Qin Qingfei would not want it anymore. In the end, the 2,000 pieces of metal intent crystals were won by Qin Qingfei, with a price of 9 million supreme-grade spirit crystals. Good time is fast. We've come to the last item for today. This item is a rare treasure. Feng Xiu's voice resounded throughout the entire scene, and everyone's spirits were lifted. Most of the people knew that they were not qualified to participate in the final bidding, but they wanted to watch the show and broaden their horizons. In the future, they would have an extra capital to brag to their acquaintances. Many people opened their eyes wide, waiting for Feng Xiu to take out the last treasure. Lu Ming was also looking at it with great interest. He wanted to see what the last treasure was. At this moment, Feng Xiu's palm glowed and a jade bottle appeared in her hand. A jade bottle? Could it be some kind of medicinal pill or spiritual liquid? Everyone guessed in their hearts. Haha, I won't keep you all in suspense. This bottle is the elixir of life. Feng Xiu's eyes swept across the entire scene as she spoke word by word. Whoosh! As soon as Feng Xiu's words fell, the entire place burst into an uproar. What? Life potion? The legendary water of life that can resurrect the dead? The elixir of life is a peerless treasure. No matter how serious the injury is, the elixir of life can heal it very quickly. How is that possible? Oh my God, is this for real? At the scene there were countless exclamations and shocked voices. Bang! In guest room number 10, Lu Ming stood up abruptly and looked outside, his eyes glowing with a scorching light. Elixir of life. It was actually the elixir of life. He had to get it. With the elixir of life, the injuries to Lu Yuntian's meridians would definitely be able to heal, and he would be able to embark on the path of martial arts once more. He had long since made a vow to find the treasure that could cure Lu Yuntian. However, he had never encountered such a natural treasure. Now he had. Elixir of life. It's actually the elixir of life. Haha, father has great foresight. This time I must get it. In guest room number 5, Qin Qingfei stood up as well. His eyes were burning with passion. Everyone was boiling with excitement, their eyes burning with passion. Everyone, this bottle of elixir of life is not pure. It's diluted, and the concentration is only 1/10 of the pure elixir of life. Besides, reviving the dead is just a rumor. No matter how much pure elixir of life you use, it's impossible, let alone diluted elixir of life. But there's one thing I'm sure of, even diluted elixir of life can heal any physical injury. Even if your arm is cut off, as long as you put a drop of diluted elixir of life on the wound, it can be reconnected and healed perfectly. Feng Xiu loudly introduced. Even so, everyone's enthusiasm was still high. A diluted elixir of life was a supreme treasure. Alright, let's start the bidding. The starting price is 5 million supreme spiritual crystals. Each increment must be at least 200,000 supreme spiritual crystals. Feng Xiu announced. 5,500,000. 5,800,000. 6 million. Oh! Instantly someone made a bid. The Secret Chamber of Commerce had long since announced that there would be a supreme treasure up for auction. Although they hadn't clearly stated what treasure it was, it still attracted the interest of many people. Many rich people had already prepared spiritual crystals and were waiting here. Just like Qin Qingfei. No one had placed a bid before, but now that the elixir of life had appeared, people began to place their bids. The elixir of life, even if it was diluted, if used well, it was equivalent to having one more life. Who wouldn't be tempted? With the elixir of life, he would be able to explore even more dangerous forbidden lands and ruins in search of even more precious treasures. The price was skyrocketing at a terrifying speed. Not long after, it broke through the sky-high price of 9 million for 2,000 gold element intent crystals and charged up to 10 million. 11 million. Qin Qingfei roared. 11,500,000. Immediately, someone raised the bid by 500,000, not giving in at all. Manager Wu, quickly send a message to my father, and ask him to transfer another 20 million supreme spiritual crystals to me. I must get the elixir of life today, Qin Qingfei said to the middle-aged man. Yes, second young master. The middle-aged man quickly took out a voice transmission jade talisman, and began to transmit his voice. The price continued to rise. Very quickly, the price shot up to a terrifying 15 million. However, there were still many people competing. 15,500,000. Qin Qingfei roared. 16 million. The price was still rising. When the price reached 20 million, the number of bidders finally decreased. Many people sighed. 20 million. This price was too terrifying. Even if they wanted to, they had no way of competing. Those who did not have the financial resources to compete were also excited. 20 million supreme spiritual crystals was an astronomical figure for most people. However, it was extremely rare to see so many people paying such a price for a treasure. Being able to see it with their own eyes was also a form of bragging. At this moment, there were only 3 people left in the competition. Qin Qingfei was one of them. 23 million. When Qin Qingfei called out the sky-high price of 23 million, another person backed out. When Qin Qingfei called out 25 million, the last person also backed out. Haha, the elixir of life is mine. You want to compete with the Qin family in wealth? Dream on. Qin Qingfei laughed. 26 million. At this moment a clear and firm voice was heard. Lu Ming finally started to bid. Chapter 591. 591 Blinding Eyes. Lu Ming's bid made the atmosphere lively again. Oh, there are still people bidding. I thought it would fall into the Qin clan's hands. It's him again. It's that young man in guest room number 10 again. Who is this person? Not only does he oppose Qin Qingfei time and time again, but he also has such strong financial resources. The entire place was filled with discussions. Damn it. It's that little bastard again. Shut up. Qin Qingfei shouted in anger. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he stared at the 10th VIP room. In guest room number 10, Fei Shui was also extremely curious. Was Lu Ming really from the Tianxian region? He had asked for more than 20 million supreme spiritual crystals. Was the Tianxian region that rich? This customer has bid 26 million. Is there any higher bid? If not, this bottle of rare elixir of life will belong to this customer. Feng Xiu shouted. 27 million. Qin Qingfei roared. 28 million. Lu Ming did not hesitate. 29 million. 30 million. Lu Ming immediately raised the price to 30 million. At that moment there was no sound at all. Everyone was staring at Lu Ming and Qin Qingfei bidding. Kid, let me tell you. This bottle of elixir of life is highly valued by the Qin family. You've been going against the Qin family time and time again. Are you looking for death? Qin Qingfei roared. He repeatedly going against your Qin family? I remember that I have never provoked you. Every time it was you who provoked me first. Now, in your mouth, it has become me repeatedly opposing your Qin family? Lu Ming sneered in response. Kid, if I say you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. Now stop the bidding. I bid 30. 2 million. Qin Qingfei roared. What a joke. 31 million. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him and continued to bid. Damn it. President Feng, I suspect that this person is raising the price randomly and doesn't have that many top-quality spirit crystals on him. Qin Qingfei roared. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. This time Qin Qingfei was right. He did not have that many top-grade spirit crystals on him. Seeing that Lu Ming did not say anything, Qin Qingfei's eyes lit up and he said in joy, President Feng, did you see that? This person doesn't dare to speak. I don't think he has that many spiritual crystals. I suggest we check his spiritual crystals. If he doesn't have that many spiritual crystals, he's disrupting the order of the auction. He'll be severely punished. Feng Xiu's gaze also looked towards VIP room 10. The secret chamber of commerce had a rule that if a bidder couldn't take out enough supreme spiritual crystals after bidding, it would be considered a disruption of the auction order and would be severely punished by the Chamber of Commerce. Someone had once been crippled of his cultivation and even killed for disrupting the secret Chamber of Commerce's auction. By now, no one dared to bid recklessly anymore. Lu Ming was the person who put up 2,000 gold element top-grade spirit crystals for auction. Feng Xiu had known about this long ago. Therefore, he thought that Lu Ming should have spirit crystals. However, Lu Ming's silence now meant that there was a problem. Lu Ming opened the window of the VIP room and everyone looked at him. Indeed, don't have that many supreme spiritual crystals. Lu Ming spoke calmly. The scene was in an uproar. Fuck. He really doesn't have that many crystals. It turns out that he's just trying to get something for nothing. How dare you? You're trying to get something from the secret Chamber of Commerce for nothing. You're simply courting death. Young man, you're blinded by greed. You're dead now. Many people sighed. Haha, this kid really doesn't have any spiritual crystals. Haha. Qin Qingfei was overjoyed. He had only said it casually in a fit of anger. He had never expected that Lu Ming would be so bold as to not have any top-grade spirit crystals. Brother Lu Yu. Hey, don't admit it yet. I'll think of a way to get you a batch of spiritual crystals. Fei Shui's expression changed as she whispered. Lady Flying Snow, there's no need. Lu Ming waved his hand, his expression still very calm. President Feng, he looked at Feng Xiu and asked, how many spiritual crystals do I have left after deducting the ones I won from the auction? Feng Xiu was slightly surprised. Her eyes flashed as she said, you've bid twice, so you've used up 1.6 million best grade spirit crystals. The 2,000 gold element intent crystals you've sold come to a total of 9 million. After deducting the 5% handling fee, you have a total of 6.9 million spirit crystals left. Everyone was stunned by his words. What? Those 2,000 gold attribute intent crystals were actually his? Fuck, I thought it was a senior who put it up for auction. It's actually his. How could he have so many intent crystals? Everyone was surprised and curious. However, the remaining 6 million or so spiritual crystals were not enough at all. As for Qin Qingfei, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that the 2,000 gold attribute profound meaning crystals would actually belong to Lu Ming. Previously, Lu Ming had deliberately raised the price, so that he had to spend 9 million to buy 2,000 ultimacy crystals. At the thought of this, he was so angry that his chest hurt. Kid, so what if it's yours? It's far from 31 million. If you can't take out so many supreme spiritual crystals today, I'll see how you die. Qin Qingfei gritted his teeth. Fei Shui's beautiful eyes flickered continuously as she looked at Lu Ming in surprise. She did not expect that the 2,000 gold element ultimacy crystals actually belonged to Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you bid 31 million. Can you take out 31 million best grade spirit crystals? Qin Qingfei shouted. It's true that I don't have supreme grade spirit crystals, but I can use intent crystals to offset it. Lu Ming's calm voice was heard. Using intent crystals to offset it? What a joke. You've already taken out 2,000 crystals. I don't believe you still have more. Qin Qingfei continued to shout, but before he could finish, he was almost blinded by a golden light. Lu Ming waved his hand and a pile of ultimacy crystals appeared in the air. Each piece was shimmering with golden light and exuded a strong intent aura. All of them were gold attribute intent crystals. So many. They're all gold element intent crystals. How many are there? Nest, did he get a large-scale power Upanishad crystal mine? Everyone was shocked. Many people stared at the pile of intent crystals in the air with burning eyes. Qin Qingfei's eyes were wide open and his tongue was tied. He was dumbfounded and swallowed the words he wanted to say. Fei Shui's beautiful eyes flickered as she looked at Lu Ming, her eyes filled with curiosity. Here there are 5,000 gold attribute intent crystals. I won't auction them off. President Feng, I wonder if you're willing to accept them? Lu Ming said to Feng Xiu. Yes, of course. How about this? 5,000 intent crystals. My Heaven's Secret Chamber of Commerce will buy all of them. The price. Feng Xiu was overjoyed and was about to state the price. President Feng, wait a moment. Before Feng Xiu could state the price, Lu Ming spoke again and interrupted her. What? Feng Xiu was a bit confused. Chapter 592. 592 got it, Battle of Providence. Feng Xiu looked at Lu Ming with some doubts. Oh, but the next moment, his pupils suddenly contracted. Lu Ming waved his hand again, and another pile of ultimacy crystals appeared in the air. This time, each intent crystal glowed with a blue light and gave off an intoxicating intent. This time it was water element intent crystals. Intent crystals. Heavens, it's intent crystals again. They're no less than that pile of gold element intent crystals. How is that possible? Who is this person? I've never seen him before. Could he be a peerless genius from some super large domain? Possible. He just bid for the cross-domain token, so he must be a genius from another domain. No wonder he has so many intent crystals. There was another round of intense discussion. Fei Shui, Qin Qingfei, and the rest looked at Lu Ming in shock. President Feng, there are 5,000 water attribute profound meaning crystals and 5,000 gold attribute profound meaning crystals, a total of 10,000 pieces. Sell them all. Lu Ming said. All right, I'll take them all. I'll pay 40 million supreme grade spirit crystals for 10,000 intent crystals. What do you think? Feng Xiu said. All right. Lu Ming agreed immediately. 40 million was not a low price. On average, 2,000 yuan was equivalent to 8 million supreme spiritual crystals. Although 2,000 yuan was sold for 9 million yuan previously, that was because Lu Ming was raising the price. Under normal circumstances, it might not be sold for 9 million yuan. But now there were even more of them, 5,000 yuan a set. If the Secret Chamber of Commerce bought it and publicized it, it would definitely sell for a higher price when it was auctioned. After all, the more intent crystals there were, the more the price would increase. 5,000 yuan for a set was much more tempting than 2,000 yuan for a set. Lu Ming took out a storage ring and kept the 10,000 esoteric crystals in it. He then threw it to Feng Xiu. Many people's eyes were burning with desire. If this was outside, someone would have already made a move to snatch it. However, this was the Secret Chamber of Commerce. Who had the courage to do so? Unless he didn't want to live. If they offended the Secret Chamber of Commerce, even the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace would not be able to protect them. Some people looked at Lu Ming with burning eyes. Lu Ming actually had so many ultimacy crystals on him. Did he have more? Many people had other thoughts. Lu Ming did not want to be so ostentatious, but he could not do it. He had to get the elixir of life. Moreover, he was going back tomorrow, so he wasn't too worried about leaving this place. At this moment, Lu Ming looked at Qin Qingfei again and sneered. Now I have crystals to bid, right? Detestable. Qin Qingfei growled. His eyes were filled with anger and killing intent. 32 million. Qin Qingfei gritted his teeth and continued bidding. 33 million. Lu Ming increased the bid without any hesitation. 34 million. 35 million. 40 million. In a few moments, Lu Ming had raised the price to 40 million. At this moment, Qin Qingfei's entire body was trembling. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at Lu Ming. Quick, send a message to my father and ask him to transfer another batch of spiritual crystals. Qin Qingfei shouted at the middle-aged man. He was no longer fighting for the elixir of life. Instead, he was competing with Lu Ming. Second young master, it's better for you to give up. Old master just sent a message to tell you to give up. 4000000 is too high. You can't compete for it. The middle-aged man said. What? No more competition? How can we not fight? Qin Qingfei's body trembled, and he gritted his teeth. What's wrong? Are you out of crystals? If you don't, then obediently give up. Lu Ming sneered. This made Qin Qingfei so angry that he felt pain in his chest. He had lost the auction today. Kid, just you wait. Qin Qingfei left these words and left with the middle-aged man. 40 million, is there any higher bid? Feng Xiu's gaze swept across the audience. However, how could anyone bid 40 million? Feng Xiu asked 3 times and finally decided that the elixir of life was bought by Lu Ming. With the end of the elixir of life, the soul-stirring auction also came to an end. Haha, little brother. How should I address you? After everyone had left, Feng Xiu took the elixir of life and walked into guest room 10, laughing heartily. Junior Lu Ming greets Senior Feng. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Haha, brother Lu, you're welcome. This is your elixir of life. Feng Xiu passed the elixir of life to Lu Ming. He then took out a storage ring and handed it to Lu Ming. The 40 million spirit crystals for the elixir of life is just enough to offset the 10,000 intent crystals. Here are 95 million supreme grade spirit crystals. Please check them. No need. Lu Ming took the storage ring and kept it. The Secret Chamber of Commerce was spread all over the continent. It had existed for countless years, and its reputation was unquestionable. Lu Ming was not worried about this. After that, Lu Ming, Fei Shui, and Feng Xiu bade their farewells and left the heavenly secret auction house. Brother Lu, you shouldn't reveal your wealth. You've taken out so many intent crystals this time, so I'm afraid some people will be after you. You have to be careful. On the way, Fei Shui warned. They dare to make a move in Hong City? Lu Ming asked. In Hong City, most people wouldn't dare to do so. However, we can't rule out the possibility of someone taking a risk out of desperation. It's better to be careful, Fei Shui said. Lu Ming nodded. Lady Fei Shui, I'll be the host today. Do you want to give me face? Lu Ming smiled and looked at Fei Shui. He and Fei Shui had met by chance, but she had taken care of him many times. Lu Ming felt that he could make friends with Fei Shui. All right. Fei Shui also agreed. The two of them found a restaurant and started eating and drinking to their heart's content. Brother Lu, with your cultivation at such a young age, I'm afraid it won't be a problem for you to be listed on the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Barren Territory. After a few glasses of wine, Fei Shui's cheeks were red and her eyes were watery. She was extremely beautiful. The list of top 1,000 talents of the Eastern Barren Territory? Lu Ming muttered, a glint of light flashing in his eyes. Soon he would have a battle with Saint Constellation, who was on the list of top 1,000 talents. With Brother Lu's talent, I believe it's only a matter of time before you enter the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Barren Territory. Maybe you can even participate in the Battle of Providence in 2 years? Fei Shui smiled, as beautiful as a flower. To be honest, Fei Shui's appearance and aura were not inferior to Xian Yanqing, Qiu Yu or Mulan. She was one of the most beautiful women Lu Ming had ever met. A battle of karmic luck. Lu Ming had some doubts. This was the first time he had heard of it. That's right. The Battle of Providence is of utmost importance. All the geniuses in the entire East Barren will be participating. Not only humans but even demons will be participating. Brother Lu, have you not heard of it? Fei Shui said. No. All the geniuses in the East Continent will attend? Lu Ming was very curious. I'm not too sure myself. I only know that the Battle of Providence is held once every 20 years. It doesn't only involve the Eastern Barren Territory, but also the Central Continent, Southern Nether, Western Desert and Northern Plains. However, there won't be any competition between them. It'll be a competition within each region. At that time, the 4 overlord forces of the Eastern Barren Territory and countless small forces will have intense competition. I heard that anyone who can rise above the rest in the War of Providence will become an unparalleled expert of the continent, Fei Shui explained. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.